Alright, chat. We're live for the Emerald Open draft stream. You know what's beast mode about today? We're gonna take a second to get kind of set up here, get my bearings straight and everything before we get into drafts. So don't post your battle pools in chat just yet. I'm not exactly ready to take them. But I got the chat figured out. I figured out what happened last time. When you have like a multiple streams set up in advance on YouTube, Stream Elements like falls apart and like has like no idea what it's doing, allegedly. So yeah, I guess that's a problem. So I've gone through and deleted all of those, and we should be good to go. So we'll have chat. I don't know if we'll have any guests joining us tonight. Maybe, we'll see. Cass said he might show up, but he's not around now. So if we have guests, we'll have them later on as we get started here. I'm going to do the ping, and I'm going to do... Let me just put this in a bunch of servers now. Apologies if people are in the chat. This is the fun part of stream where you have to ping everyone that you're live, so people start to join in and we get in on the fun. All right, I gotta do the ping for the Emerald Open server as well. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. I should have been more prepared than I was. Ugh. Sorry, chat. I'm super not locked in right now, as you can tell. Don't worry. I'm not going to post the Emerald Open ping until I'm actually ready. I will say, if you do want to get your stuff going, all right, let's go. All right, bang. There you go. Add player for everyone in the tour. You can eat that at. All right. I'm actually ready this time, chat, for all the people who are actually here. We are ready to get started. As I said, I kind of had people suggesting earlier draft pools that they wanted me to go over. I'm going to be taking those draft pools now. I'll be taking those now. So I'm going to take an initial list as we go. I got my laptop on the side here. You're going to have to tell me, Hearth, as we get going, your pool number, your battle pool number, because I'm definitely not going to know what pool you are in as we go through this. So yeah, everyone in the chat, if you're here and you want to talk, we want to talk about your draft or the pool. You got interesting drafts, interesting pools. Put those in the chat, and we'll get going on those soon. I'm on the stream right there. Are you? Oh, you are literally right there. Okay. Pool 23, good one. All right. You know what? That's what I get. Pool 74. Yeah, we'll get that. So yeah, we'll do Hearth, I guess, your pool to start. I don't know how many of these I'm gonna do tonight, to be honest. But like we'll see as we go, right? If people join in, then it'll obviously be easier. But I'm gonna start. We're at least gonna start with like a. I don't know how many we're gonna start with. I'm gonna write down at least probably till I get 10, and then start picking the chat. Wait, can I get a finger? What are you talking to? Ooh, that was draft pool, battle pool 1539. Okay. I'm gonna say pool 23 is the one we have on screen right now. Pool 48 has aura. Is that my pool? Am I pool 48? I feel like I'm one of those pools. There's a pool, the pool that I'm in, there's like J Scurf and I are playing like a virtual mirror match. Pool I was in. We're doing it by battle pools, by the way, just so you guys are aware. Just so like we don't get confused here about like what we're doing. Dude, our battle pool is ridiculous. Honestly. Like our battle pool is very, very funny. One thing we're gonna get in here. We're gonna get started here real quick. I'll go over actually script. The reason I usually don't go over like mine is I don't want to give away my teams and ideas that I have for the matchup and stuff. But like ours is too funny not to show. So let's get into it. If you guys are here and enjoying the stream and are going to enjoy this draft stream, these streams are so much fun. H-Clad, okay, we have to do H-Clad stream too, or team 2. That team's very funny. If you're here, like the stream, shows the support on the stream. These streams are super awesome. To do this is my favorite part of Emerald Open every year. I don't play particularly well most years, but this year hopefully will make it my year. But I love doing these streams and stuff, which will be super fun. So yeah, like the stream, you do that. We also have finally hit our subscriber goal of 1,000 today. So that's super awesome. Thank you everyone for all the support and all the stuff that you bring every year to these streams. It's super awesome, super fun. We really enjoy doing this. Do pool 5 as well. This is the year of the Metacham. Is this Metacham's year, chat? Last year I remember I was a big, are you taking people? I have quite a few now. I'll probably ask people again as we get going here. I have a pretty good list. I spent a lot of last year hating on Metacham. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not. The Metacham hate was high last year, to say the least. Maybe we're gonna be a little bit more appreciative of this year. I think a lot of my hate for Metacham last year came from a lot of teams. A lot of teams drafted in Metacham but didn't draft ways to get into it with like baton pass and stuff. And then I did that this year, so I guess we're not gonna do that. I guess we're going to have to like change up the agendas here a little bit. All right, so let's get started here. This is the first pool. Hearth suggested their pool, and it turns out they are first on the list. Pools 1 to 94 looking interesting. I don't think we're going to go over literally every pool today, unfortunately. As much as like I would love to, I do have to go to work in the morning at some point. All right, let's take a look at this pool down below. So this is, we have Hearth, who's in the chat right now, Wi-Fi player. Is this Ethan? Is this the Ethan who plays a lot of Showdown, like modern gen Showdown draft? Then Tretufo, host of the ZTL, or one of the ZTL owners. Tretufo was one of the hosts of last tournament, of one of the tournaments from the Hoenn Draft Invitational. Last time around, yeah, why is there a Tyranitar Celebi, not Ethan? No, there's like an Ethan B, I thought. Maybe it's different. I know it's not Toxic Ethan, but there's like another one. I guess Ethan's like not a particularly uncommon name, I guess. Yeah, Tyranitar Celebi is pretty funny. I assume we're going to see maybe a little bit, we'll see some probably crazy teams like this. That's what I thought. I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure they play DPL and stuff. There's a pick 4 Starmie in that pool. I mean, something's got to happen, right, for things to drop. There's also Jolteon on this team. Tauros round 4. I saw some really early Tauros. Cheetah. Okay, word. Good to put some Discord names to the YouTube names as we go. I feel like I saw some high pick Tauroses. Was it? Did Roro pick Tauros like super early? I feel like looking through the pools. I did a lot of like updating of the pools this time around. So like I'm pretty. I feel like I saw some really early Tauros go around this time. Suddenly jumped up. I mean, I think people are starting to just like realize that normal spam is like pretty good, even if it's not Snorlax. And like Intimidate is a pretty useful ability to have. It's also a really, really good speed tier. I don't know. There's a lot of things to like about Tauros. I like Tauros in like Gen 9 draft. Obviously, like that's more like in 16 mon draft, not 8. But like normals are really good in this format, and one with Intimidate obviously can create a lot of power, like really good scenarios for you. What else do we got on this team? We got Umbreon. Umbreon gives a little bit of a baton pass angle to certain things on these teams. There isn't a replacement fast physical mon. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Hi chat, hi hype Zangoose. What's up, Podcedo? Yeah, I like this team. We'll go with Hearth's team next because Hearth was the one who brought up the chat. Praying doesn't face Zapdos. Yeah, Jolteon's gonna have to like put in like an infinite amount of effort into the Zapdos matchup. That's for sure. That's gonna be a tough one. All right, we'll go left to right here just so we're not jumping all around here for the rest of the picks. Andrew Blaze. So we have 2 Tyranitar's. We're gonna see a lot of some of the funny pools we'll see throughout. There's gonna be a lot of mirrors. This one, Tyranitar, Gyarados, Jolteon. So T-Tar, Jolteon on this team. We have Flygon. Flygon, look, I'm like not one of Flygon's biggest. I don't love Flygon. I'll say that much as like a respectful, keep it respectful. But I think like the cores that Flygon does well on are these teams where like you do have like a lot of pressure on the hidden power. There's obviously going to be a lot of pressure, and the only time I've used Flygon is with Gyarados for this reason. Is you want something that really puts a lot of the pressure for the hidden power to take over, and that's what Gyarados does a lot of the time on these builds. I really like Miltank, and then Scizor. Scizor, it's hard for me to get a perspective on. I was telling Owen that he should consider Scizor being drafted. The problem is this one is so reliant on hidden power to do anything offensively. Though this is a team that will appreciate some baton pass boost coming from Scizor. And then Pineco, some good hazard stacking, though we don't have a ghost spin blocker here, which makes it a little bit less effective. But it'll still be a good threat, a good thing to set up against teams that just don't have hazard removal. So I like this team. I think Scizor, yeah, that's the problem. I think Scizor is just kind of fake, unfortunately. Like, I feel like every time I think about Scizor and think about it on teams, I'm like, this would be kind of good because, like, HP Fire is, like, impossible to run on this team. Like, there's basically no, like, you really can't run Hidden Power Fire on almost anything on this team. Doesn't come if they have good spin. No, yeah, of course it doesn't matter. But, like, it really limits the, It really limits kind of the ability you have. So those are good specifically on Target offensive stack. Yeah, it's got a little bit going for that here. That's for sure. But yeah, I think that like these are like the only builds that I really particularly like Flygon on. Ethan with a B here. Celebi and Milotic. Celebi Arrow is like a classic duo that you see like pretty consistently in ADV. Basically all of the time. This is one of like the common cores that you see. A lot of people run that in draft 2. Melodic comes in here. Melodic is obviously really, really good defensive check. Cloyster, good. Like this is just a really, really solid team here, kind of top to bottom. Nidoqueen and Nidoking was really, really good in the last Emerald Open. I remember had the highest win rate for most of the tour. Nidoqueen obviously a little bit different, but definitely a Pokemon that they're similar enough that you could expect kind of high value there. And Dusclops. Dusclops not my favorite ghost. Obviously, I'm really biased in that I really like Misdreavus as my ghost. And Dusclops is like one of the more expensive ones, and I feel like you get a lot of value to the cheaper ones. But overall, I think this is a good one here. I like the hazard stacking kind of with the, you have a decent ghost to spin block as well. Hazard stacking with Celebi Arrow. And Celebi passing an arrow is going to be really dangerous to not have a good way to handle Bolt. Yeah, it's a little passive. The thing is, like, but Celebi can get really offensive really quickly. I think is the problem. Like Blissey, like Celebi pass into something like Arrow puts a lot of damage on really quickly, or like pass into Queen, set up Celebi's fine. I mean, it's a little passive, but like I think that like you can create a lot of offense here. I think the thing with this is you could run into situations where you like are biased to build defensively, where like you have offensive options. And then Hearth's team is this team. So we got 3 Jolteons in this pool. No Raikou to really take advantage of it, unfortunately. We have Machamp. Machamp was one of my biggest kind of Glazemons of like last Emerald Open going into it. I think that's kind of panned out. This mon is ridiculously broken. There are a few decent checks, kind of in this pool. Machamp should have a really, really good time, I think, getting a lot going in this pool. Definitely something that can... It's a bit expensive at 13. I don't know if it's expensive at 13. What are the other fightings around it that like you would like consider taking over it? Like Hariyama is like the main one, right? That you would want over it, and they fight a little bit. Metacham, look, I love Metacham and Heracross. I don't like Heracross, to be honest. I feel like Hariyama is the only fighter that I think is particularly better than Machamp. I think Machamp is like a clear second in that tier list. Like tier list realistically, if you're thinking like what are like the best fighters that you can pick up in that price range. Metacham is Zappy Pichamon. I mean, Metacham has seen more use on other teams, and a lot of people. We did kind of hate on people doing it last year. We'll get on my team. I drafted Metacham no BP this time, but I really like that. If Heracross get X's, would be good. Yeah, probably. I think the lack of bug coverage. I also think the typing is just not awesome in this format. I feel like Heracross is clearly out of like the 4 that we mentioned here, like the worst of them. But overall, Metagross. We got Charizard here as well. Charizard gets a little bit of a reputation for being a noob killer, right? But like when you have between Metagross and Machamp just like breaking through offensively and creating a lot of pressure in this matchup, but you're gonna be like against these teams, so you're gonna be able to set up situations where Charizard will have really good belly drum end games, regardless. So I think that's I think Charizard will be pretty good on this team, especially with the spike stack. And we have Ghastly to spin block. I don't think Ghastly will come, but I guess you technically have that option. So the way the pools are going to work in this time. So we did 5-player pools last time. We're back down to 4-player pools. My understanding is it's going to be basically you win 2 and you're through. I don't know what teams we expect to get 2. It's going to be tough to pick a team to get 2 wins here, specifically in this tour or in this pool, because I think a lot of the teams are pretty close. I think Tretufo's team is obviously like has the highest power level here between Tyranitar and Celebi, right? Like having 2 basically like top 6 options on this team is going to make it pretty hard. Is going to make it pretty hard to not advance out of pools, right? The question is like who else is going to win? Who else is going to 2-0 this pool, get 2 wins in this pool? I think Ethan or Hearth, I think both of their teams, it's really tough. I don't know if Tretufo 3-0s this pool, because I feel like they're good players in this pool, and there are good teams in this pool. So like you're always just naturally, it's going to be difficult to 3-0 in situations like that. I feel like I like Hearth's team. I'd like Hearth and Ethan's team the most. I feel like I should like Andrew's team a little bit more. But I'm not 100% sure on that one. I don't know. I just like I really like the Metagross like offensive angle here on this team. There's no Skarmory or anything either that really holds this back. So I think I like Tretufo and Hearth to both make it out here. And then Ethan, I think, has a chance to go. I think has a chance to get 2 wins as well. Andrew kind of does too. It doesn't have a rock. Yeah, not having a rock resist is going to be really tough against Arrow and T-Tar specifically. So that's going to make those matchups really difficult. But yeah, I think Tretufo is definitely getting 2 wins. And then probably Hearth would be my next likely to get 2 wins here. All right, so that's our first pool out of the way, chat. As we move on to the next pool, if you guys are in the stream and have not already, make sure to like the stream. all the support on the stream makes it so, the support on the streams are awesome. These are some of the best things the best parts of YouTube that I do every year is doing these Emerald Open streams. So definitely really appreciate all the love and support we get on these every year. Definitely keeps some motivation to keep doing them. We got Pool 74. I don't know who in chat suggested this one. We got Gold Mason's pool here. We got a pretty good balance of like top tier of round one picks here, which is nice. We'll go left to right. We got a Salamence team here. Salamence is one of those Pokemon at like in ADV draft. I'm building for Mason and I helped them draft. Fair enough. Salamence is a weird Pokemon because like I feel like it's got like the potential man energy, like the kind of like the Justin Herbert effect, and that like I feel like it is like one of the, what's the best way to describe it? It feels so threatening and scary in so many matchups. The problem is there are so many Pokemon that just are slam dunk checks to it that like I find it really hard. I find it a situation where like especially in pool events, you can find yourself in pools where like you just like can't leverage your first round pick very effectively. This becomes a lot less problematic in like league scenarios where you're like drafting and playing within a draft. Like the men's team versus Vaporeon, like you could do it against like Swampert, Melodic, and stuff. Like there's like a bunch of them, right? And like you're gonna bound to run into a lot of them. And the reason I kind of like it more in those more closed environments is you can take those out of the pool with your second round pick. And I look at this team here, and like it's a very, very balanced offensive team, but we don't have a lot of ways to like break. Like Salamence is kind of like the breaker on this team. Like you're kind of just like playing a real defensive game and hoping Salamence like wins out. Like just like DDs and wins out or like CB spams. Like this feels like a more tough Salamence team to really make work here. Like you're really have difficulty breaking bulky waters outside of Ampharos. Like you're really relying on like toxic Moltres to like put pressure on them and get damage that way. But like you're gonna have to get into some really long battles to open up situations for Salamence to really take over here. Unless you get like a good boom with like Quillfish, but like that's gonna be super hard to position. Molt seems like a weird choice. Yeah, like this team feels like it needs like Moltres being our second like true offensive option is always kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, it feels like we're just not going to be able to break down teams offensively like we like here. I mean, I really like Moltres. I think that's a really sweet Pokemon. And like Registeel Salamence is still like a fine start, obviously. And in these like situations, I think when you're playing in pools, you can be a little more flexible to not take like one of the waters off the board. But I think this team is going to struggle to do a lot of damage realistically. Yeah, I don't know what the gold amounts. Yeah, I don't know what, like, I feel like this one is going to be tough to really figure out how we're going to leverage the men's realistically here. We'll go to Gold Mason's team next. This is the team that Funk drafted and is supporting with, so Funk can give criticism on my criticism here as we go. I mean, this is a standard Raikou team, right? There's a Slacking here, which is interesting. Slacking is one of those ones that's got a lot of like interesting utility as a normal type. So like it's good to see it kind of picked up here and get an opportunity on this team. But like Raikou, Dragonite, Reggie is like a really standard core. Vaporeon is a good Pokemon to have here. Venusaur is pretty nice as well. Not gonna lie, 70 picks where we were trolling not getting it. Kind of, right? Like I mean, like Raikou Dragonite is like classic, right? Like that it makes sense to do that. Like Regirock in round 3 is like pretty good. The Reggie's obviously some of the best things that you can be picking up in ADV Draft League. Vaporeon obviously like really good wish support on this team, and then Venusaur is good. Hypno is like really good, like just like as like a baton pass option as well. Not that you have like super amazing options to pass into. I guess you have Raikou, but it can set up for itself. But whole plan for Slowbro, and then Vape was round 4. I mean, yeah, right. Like if Vape's gonna come round 4, you don't need to take the Slowbro, right? Like there's no reason to overcomplicate things on that one. Endil's team, we got Lax, Gyarados, another Regirock here, Alakazam. I love Alakazam. I've kind of gone back and forth of how much I like Alakazam. I feel like this is part of my Gen 9 energy coming in. I feel like I really like Encore a lot. I feel like Encore is like one of the best moves in draft. and that like I feel like Gen 9 has like really come to show how effective of a move that is. And Zam is like one of the best users of Encore in this metagame for sure. So like I think that puts Alakazam really high up for me. The problem is like the lack of bulk does make it a little bit more difficult to use versus like some of like the classic Encore users you see in like SV Draft League and stuff that are like a little bit more bulky and come in. Like Jirachi's like a classic version of that. You just have to assume Encore until you know the full set, basically, right? Like you have to like it's one of those moves you have to be really mindful of. And like the distribution is not amazing in ADV, but like it is still, especially with Baton Pass, it's really important to have Encore to kind of to help prevent like some of those like setup Pokemon from really taking over. It's also a really good call, Minesweeper. Like I used it in God, what tour was it? Was it Revival? I feel like it was Revival. I used Calm Mind Alakazam a lot and was just like beating Pursuit Trappers and stuff, which was super sick. Umbreon is here. I'm not the biggest Umbreon fan, but it's fine. It's a defensive piece. Slowbro here as well. Got Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is not an awesome fighter. It is a fighter. Fighting pressure is going to be important here on this team because you know you want to open up. Oh, the fighters are really good into what Zam is good into. And for 8 points, yeah, it's pretty good. Will the recording of the stream stay up after it ends? Yes. All of the streams that we do for Emerald Open will be on this channel after the fact, so you can go back and rewatch them. All the streams as well for the Hoenn Draft Invitational streams that we've been doing will be up to watch as well. So if you want to watch more ADV content, we have that. I think the Grand Finals Battle 2 for that is going to be on Friday evening. So definitely get subscribed and stay tuned for that because that is... The first game was crazy for those of you who watched the game 1 of Ampha versus River. That was like an insane game of Pokemon. So if the game 2 is anything like that, you definitely are not going to want to miss out on it. That's for sure. Because it's going to be amazing to watch it. We'll get into the last team here. We have Tyranitar, Gyarados, Gengar, Medicham. This is a no Baton Pass and Medicham team. Which, like, I was very critical on it last time. Because I felt like, and I think a lot of it was my own bias and how I like to play Medicham is just like spam, like Choice Band on Medicham and just attack that way. But I think there's a lot, like you have a little bit of bulk with Medicham that you can kind of switch in and use Recover, which is pretty nice. Yeah, and the problem here with this team though is you have Sand here, which makes that game plan a little bit more difficult because the calcs are often so close on Medicham that's going to be really difficult to leverage here. No special attacking Electric. Yeah, that's a little annoying, but like sometimes to defend its defensive blocks you resist. Yeah, that's a good way. That like bulk up is like a good way to do that. Pool 89 2 Seekers Pool. Yeah, we'll do that. I think we have 14. I have like 13 pools right now, and at the pace we're going, I don't know how many more we're really gonna take. So we're gonna go through the list I have and see where we end up at the once we get there. Yeah, our electric resist is Sceptile. Yeah, this seems a little Raikou weak. Like, if I look into the matchup against Gold Mason, like, this is kind of peak, honestly. And, like, our Sceptile, we have Venusaur, which is, like, kind of a slam dunk answer into Sceptile, too. Which, like, doesn't help matters much at all. So, like, that's going to be a really, really tough matchup. Our normal resist is also not awesome here. Yeah, don't comment on the matchup, obviously. We also don't have a good... I mean, we have Tyranitar, which like can be a fine switch in, but like the Lax matchup also feels a little bit awkward here. Like Gengar is like a decent enough in like the... It's like a decent enough answer in like OU in the sense where it has to cover a lot of things, but in draft it's like not that great because like you can just aggressively Shadow Ball in a lot of time. I have to shout out Seeker... game plan so you can change my ideas. Seeker, I will say one thing, if you guys haven't already, let me pull it up here. Seeker's ADV Draft League guide that he posted on the Smogon forums the other day. I guess this is a couple weeks ago at this point. This is an yeah, if you had to go T-turn to Lax, yeah, you're probably cooked. This is an unbelievable thread. If you guys want to learn, you know, if you want to just learn about ADV Draft League at all or in any aspect, a lot of the team synergies, a lot of ways to think through turns. This is an unbelievable article. Definitely worth checking out to learn about ADV draft, because Seeker did really well. It does really well on all the tours, did really well in the Hone Draft Invitational. It's definitely someone you can learn a lot from in terms of ADV Draft League. So definitely recommend this thread if you haven't read it already on the Smogon forums. But as you were saying, Python's like 1,000%. If our answer to like Snorlax is T-Tar, then we're cooked. We might be in trouble here. So if I had to guess who's winning 2 games out of this pool, I think it's probably Mason and Endil. I think are the most likely people to make it out of this. I feel like the men's draft just like is gonna be difficult to really make that one work. And I feel like I kind of like Laffin's team. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it. There's a lot of things I kind of like here. I don't like our Raikou matchup. I don't like our Lax matchup, and like I think that's gonna mean we're probably gonna have a struggle to make out of this pool, realistically. So I think Mason and Endil are likely to make it through out of this one here. All right, what do we have next? All right, we have pool 61. While we're getting to the next pool, if you guys are in here and haven't done so already, make sure to like the stream. We have, 10 likes now and like 50 people here. Surely we can get a few more likes on the stream while we get this pool. Oh no, do I have to put some love up for Jake here? Laffin's just a good player. That's true. I'm trying, I have like a good knowledge of like most of the players in the community at this point. The problem I have is a lot of like my knowledge too is like Discord profile pictures. Like I'll honestly recognize someone's Discord profile picture before their name if I don't know them like to that extent. So I said that I was saying that earlier. Like yeah, I actually recognize Laffin a little bit. Where do people advertise ADV draft leagues? Been looking for one to call home that's not just a yearly event. A lot of the ADV draft league stuff that's going on right now is tournament specific. I would recommend, I'd have to think. I don't know how many, like a lot of the times if the leagues are hosting it, they're going to be hosting it as like off-season tours for like kind of like modern generation stuff. Like you think of something like Scarlet and Violet, they'll have like a main league for that and then play ADV. After that, the Home Draft Invitational server is a great place to be to get a lot of those. Let me get the link to that here. A lot of stuff gets advertised there. A lot of the ADV draft scene, though, is primarily tournaments for the most part. So there's kind of good things in that is that it gives you a lot of opportunity to kind of play. It gives you a lot of opportunity to play and stuff like that. But a lot of it is going to be in tournament-focused stuff. Emerald Open Plug Chat is a good stuff. Yeah, just check out the plug chats for your Home Draft Invitational server and Emerald Open, and there will be opportunities that come up pretty frequently to play ADV Draft. As I said, a lot of it is tournament stuff though, but that's kind of how Draft League has kind of trended to anyway. The Jake team, are we putting love on Jake here today? Is that what we're doing? I like tournament style, but I do too. That's the problem I have with tournaments too. I just like overdo it. What the? Okay, Why is there? What is it? All right, we'll ignore the team on the right for a second here. All right, Jake. We got Celebi, Skarmory. Jake team is passive. I feel like this. I like this team though a lot. I don't know if I necessarily agree on the passiveness part. I think like a lot of these teams, and I think part of it is the bias, just like in how naturally a lot of Celebi teams play, and how a lot of people like to use Celebi. As I feel like people view the Celebi as like kind of passive. It is like a very aggro threat in terms of like threatening baton pass threats. And when you have ways to catch baton pass and Aerodactyl and Kangaskhan that can be really difficult to switch into offensively, I think like that in and of itself gives a lot of offensive pressure to this team. That and the spikes pressure, yeah. Like Skarmory being a really good spiker and Dusclops being a really reliable spin blocker. He has no crazy, but Celebi can SD pass, right? Which is like just as effective generally. At least in terms of like immediate breaking, especially if you get a lot of spikes up with Skarm and force. Yeah, I can't speak today. Force stuff early like that'll be effective as well. CM pass obviously like is really really good, and we see that, and that's why we see a lot of like 9-point CM passers do really well in this format, but. Like a lot of you're gonna see a lot of SD pass, I think Celebi potentially on this team. Does feel very arrow reliant, which I don't like. A little bit, yeah. Arrow is like kind of your primary force of offense here, like just raw offense, which is not awesome. But like that's kind of, I guess, the nature of these teams, just how they kind of are. Luckily, Kangaskhan, like as a normal type, is going to give you a lot of offensive output in that sense. But like in terms of like a true like kind of like balanced, this team has a lot of longevity, and like the combination of spike spin blocking and like baton pass pressure from Celebi, or even setup just Celebi in general. Arrows can put a lot of pressure. Kangaskhan, like there's a lot to like here. There's a few Pokemon that like you don't have particularly awesome matchups into that are going to be difficult to break. Like I feel like this team struggles against opposing Skarmory, probably. So I feel like that you're going to run into situations like that where you have tough matchups. But in terms of looking at pools, I don't think you have any of those like problematic matchup Pokemon here. And you have like is this a free win, chat? Like, do we think, are we going to move, or are we going to look at the elephant in the room? How many pools are you reviewing? So I have 12 more pools here. We've gone through like 3 in the first like half an hour. I realistically don't know. It's going to depend on how long I can like stream for without like completely losing my mind. But and if people join in and kind of provide support for the stream over time, we might have some mods come in and kind of provide some commentary as we go. But we're at least going to get through 12 more after this, and then we'll kind of decide from there how we're feeling. I might just feel like I get no roll and we just keep going. Can you do Pool 21? I feel like, no, Pool 21's not on the list. I will add Pool 21, and that will be at least the last one I have for now. Starting Pool 50 Battle, if you want to review that real quick. I don't think we have that one on our list at this point. So yeah, we have the list that we have now. We'll go through the rest of it later. So we got Jake, we got DJS here. DJS is really is kind of a player. I'm trying to think of like how I would describe him in terms of like his engagement with the community, because I know him through Wi-Fi, but he plays a lot of Showdown stuff, a lot of Tour stuff as well. So definitely kind of a modern gens player here as well. He's got another Celebi draft here. This one's got Gyarados, Regice, Donphan, Lantern. It's got Medicham on here. All right, this is where everyone talks about Zapdos pass with Medicham. Celebi pass with Medicham is kind of demon too, because you have the ability. Yeah, here we go. This is like a Python's wet dream team right here. There's no Raikou and Reggie on this team, or I guess there's a Reggie. I'm blind. But like this is a Python's team. If you know what I mean, like this is a team that you'd fuck with. No spikes is a little tough here. I look at Steelix here, and I wonder like if our pool we have an opportunity to just not draft Stantler and draft a Spiker in the Steelix slot and get something else, because like we already have Donphan. I don't know what Steelix is necessarily providing us here. It gives us a Steel type, but there's enough like 4-point Steel types that like maybe we find an angle to get a Spiker here. Would be Stoice as a spinner free? True, yeah. It would have been a nice Stoice angle here. So yeah, I think I would have liked to have found a Spiker on this team to really take advantage of Medicham and Baton Pass and stuff like that. Because like this team does have, if we kind of talk about the concept with Jake's team, moving over here, it's a little bit similar. We have a DD threat in Gyarados, which provides a little bit of a different angle of attack, but no spikes means that like the defensive nature of Regice, Donphan, and Lantern and Steelix, it's going to be tough to like really leverage too much. It's going to be difficult to really make a lot of pressure without spikes on this team. Yeah, having a normal resist is nice. I don't know. Maybe we just don't draft Donphan then. I'm trying to think. I feel like this is a team that needed spikes on it. Without spikes on this team, the problem is your offense is so reliant on the Medicham though, which is kind of the difficulty here that you run into. Like having your offense like rely on Medicham can be tough, especially where you want a Baton Pass into it. Often, at this point, I'm not taking requests. Most likely, to end this. At least if I'm taking requests, it'll be much later in the stream. Eggbomb's team here. We have Zapdos, Blissey, Swampert. This is another very, very defensive team. Kara Fortress is the way. True. This is another kind of defensive team here. Another Tauros drafter. Tauros, as I said, like Tauros, like I feel like that's a Pokemon. I don't know if like the stocks. I don't have like a strong sense of where I feel like everyone else is at in terms of ADV draft. But I feel like Tauros is a Pokemon that you might want to watch out for a little bit more in this draft, in this tournament. I've seen people get a lot higher on it. And normal spam is just very, very good in ADV draft also. This is a team. This is a pool with a lot of very like defensive backbones, like Blissey, Zapdos, Swampert, Armaldo. This is going to be a very defensive, team. What I do like here, I do see Misdreavus here, and as I said before, I'm a big Misdreavus Glazer. I love Misdreavus. I feel like I don't know what it is. I'll like always find room to find Misdreavus on a team as a ghost, and I feel like Paris trapping is like a really good way to like beat a lot of like the random special walls, which will help enable your Zapdos here a little bit. There are some like decent ways to kind of trap. Like you can probably get things on Jake's team. You can definitely get things on DJS's team, I think. So I think Misdreavus is probably going to be effective as a Paris trapper here. But just as a general, a ghost is probably fine. And then the team on the right, look, it's got a Misdreavus and Dugtrio, which is fun. But like this is... do we think... unfortunately, I don't think this team has a chance to win, realistically. Round 2 Pikachu is probably not going to be good enough, I think, to get this one done. So if I had to guess who's making out of this pool... what's interesting is that, like, I think this is a pool because we have the win 2 games to make it out. I think there's a good chance that both Jake, DJS, and Egg Bombs all make it out of this pool. And that, like, I think that, like, realistically, you would expect them all to beat the team, like, the team on the right. And then I could see Egg Bombs definitely getting a win here because I think Zapdos is pretty good, actually, into both of these teams. I think it's particularly good into Jake's team. I think Zapdos is really good there. So, like, I think there's a good opportunity for them all to get 2 wins here for sure and have 3 people make it out of this pool. Just kind of due to the nature of the fact that we have this team on the right here, which kind of, it is what it is there. That's what that's what kind of happens when you have these, like, when you kind of have these random teams that come in that just don't have a lot of Pokemon that are real on them. All right, pool 73. Where is that? That's going to be all the way up here. And while we're getting into pool 73, if you have not already, as I said, and I'll be doing this probably most of the time throughout the stream, like the stream if you haven't already. The support for the stream is always appreciated. These streams are some of the best things that we do every year in the ADV Draft League community, talking about Emerald Open. I mean, this is, in terms of like Draft League prize pool wise, like this is the biggest prize pool that you will see in Draft League. So it's awesome to get to cover this tour every single year and to continue. And, you know, I don't know what else to say. Super, super fun to do that. So let's get into this pool. Beats Black, recognize that name. I feel like I would recognize the other users if I saw their profile pictures, but got a little bit of a variety here, which is nice. We're going to probably see a lot of pools that have a lot of very specific, have a lot of mirror matches and stuff, which is going to be interesting to see how that stuff will shake out. On the left here, let's see. We got Metagross team here. Charizard round 2 is interesting. I know Charizard, I said earlier, Charizard gets a little bit of a mixed review here, kind of depending on who you talk to about it. I think I'm still like, I still like it a lot as a Pokemon here in this tier. This is another team that feels, I don't know, this team's not that passive actually. There's Hitmontop here. Round 2's art is very real. Yeah, it probably is. It's just not, it's not a Pokemon for me, I don't think, in terms of how I play. We do see Ninjask here shows up. Will 30% Ninjask pass, win rate Ninjask pass, get a few more wins on the board here? We'll see. Yeah, it is definitely not a passive team. I was looking at the start, like maybe it kind of is, but no, like the Kangaskhan also at the bottom here, like just like a good normal spammer. Is really nice. Quillfish is obviously a really like offensively, you know, it can be an offensively minded spiker. Definitely one that you're going to pressure a lot of boons with, and Hazard. And then Sceptile can just put a lot of pressure. So I kind of like this team. I have a few concerns initially looking at it, but we'll get into that maybe as we go. But I think this team's got a lot going for it, which is really nice. And having a good spiker here is going to be really important on this team because a lot of the threats are really going to benefit from that. Beats Black, we got our second Skarmory team here. 3D fighting resist, yet we are fighting weak somehow. We kind of are, right? Because like Quillfish obviously is not going to want to take a lot of hits. It's not going to take them well. Ninjask is technically resist the fighting type. And then Charizard, like depending on the type of sets you want to run Charizard with, right? You need like full health. So like even taking any chip is a little problematic. So that's going to be really tough into the double Machamp pool that we have here. Like in terms of like matchup wise, like we're gonna run into a little bit of trouble switching into these Machamps consistently here, and are definitely gonna have to use like hazards to pressure them effectively. Beats Black here, another Skarmory team. Typhlosion was one of the Pokemon I was like super high on last Emerald Open. I think if you look at the EO5 data, Typhlosion had like was like one of the top leads in terms of like kills off lead. If like memory serves. I'd have to look back at the data to like fact check myself on that one, of course, but that's a Pokemon that's really good here. And like if you look at the matchups like around the board, like Typhlosion's really difficult for a lot of these teams to switch into. There's like not a lot of like bulky waters that like want to switch into it frequently. The Inquisition's team, or Linquisition, I don't know how they want to pronounce. Like Blastoise does a little bit of a better job switching into it, but like Swampert can't risk the HP grass. I mean, Cloyster is not a switch, to say the least, right? That's a one that's going to be really good here. Machamp, obviously, we kind of talked about your Maz team over here. A little bit fighting weak as well. And then another Tauros here. Tauros is showing up a lot, at least in the first few picks that we've seen. Definitely going to be one of the better Pokemon, one of the Pokemon to look out for, I think, in this tour at least. It seems like people are picking it a lot more frequently is like my initial thought, but I'd have to double check the data. Obviously, that's those are numbers we'll crunch as we get in through the next couple of days after getting the tour set up. Kanava's team, what do we got here? Another Sceptile, Zapdos team. This team feels a little bit passive. We have the Camerupt, a classic Raikou answer, force that HP water, make the coverage, force some bad coverage here, obviously. So that's an option there that you see on that Pokemon, with that Pokemon there, which is probably why it's here. I mean, Raikou's, is pretty good in this team. I can see why we would do that. But Zapdos, Swampert, Hariyama is a great top 3. Really, really like that. Sceptile is obviously pretty good. You probably want to Spike Sept with Zapdos, pretty good offensive pressure. Yeah, exactly. You can put Tom past Calm Minds and stuff and get some spikes. And Cloyster's a good spiker. You have a good removal. You have double removal. Hariyama will be the switch in to Typhlosion with Thick Fat. I mean, for a time, technically, yeah, that is possible. The thing is, then you get free Skarmory too, which like you'll take that every time if you're Beats Black in that matchup. And then we have a T-Tar team here. T-Tar, Gengar, kind of standard. Machamp, as we said earlier, doesn't Hypno do the Typhlosion switching job easy? Kind of, yeah. No, actually, it might. I'm trying to think about Hypno in this matchup. Hypno's low-key interesting in that matchup, actually. That's a Pokemon that's kind of tough to manage. It's a Pokemon that, like, it's a little unassuming in terms of what it does. But definitely one of a really good Pokemon. Yeah, I hadn't really considered Hypno in that situation. You're probably right. Hypno's probably pretty good here. This team, though, we have Magneton here. Yeah, CM Pass into Sceptile is going to be really good. We have Magneton here, so Magneton finds a trap angle here in this pool. You get to pick up a Skarmory here. It's going to be kind of tough to pick up the Skarmory here. Like, how do you force in Skarmory with the Inquisition's team? Tyrant, like, I guess there are a lot of ways to force it in, but not a lot of ways you're immediately forced to do. I guess, like, your switch ins to Machamp are kind of tough here as well. Your fighting resist is what? Venusaur? Excuse me, I don't like Venusaur as my fighting resist on this team. So that's going to be a tough matchup. And, like, so, like, I don't even know if you need Magneton against that team. I don't know what Magneton is, like, necessarily netting you there. Because, like, if Skarmory is your switch into Machamp, like, you should be able to find a way to break that realistically at some point anyway, just, like, by naturally attacking. I guess, you have a Spinner and Blastoise, so that part's good as well. I do like this team. Obviously, Tyranitar. Bulk of the Machamps look really good in this pool. All things considered. Like, if I look at, like, who I expect to get out of this pool, I kind of think... I feel like Euramaz is a team that I think is going to struggle, mainly because there's two Machamps in this pool. There's also Hariyama, which like if you set up like get a good belly drum situation going, like obviously is just going to be impossible almost for that team to deal with, at least effectively. So I feel like their team's going to really struggle to make progress in this pool. And I think Linkquisition's team, I think that Beats Black is going to struggle with the Machamp as well. Hell, even Kanawa's team is probably a little bit okay into it. So I think likely, if I had to guess, probably Beats Black and Linkquisition are the two people I think are going to make it out of this pool most likely, looking at the quality of both of these teams. How long is stream going till? I have, 13? I have 12 more teams to go. Venusaur will check the champ pretty well. You think so? Maybe. Yeah, it probably, between Leech Seed and stuff. I mean, depending on, hidden power, you'd have to get aggressive with hidden power, bulk up and hidden power flyings to really pressure that Venusaur. I don't know, what is necessarily... you probably are okay with having the flying anyway for the Machamp. Yeah, maybe we'll do fine there. I think B and D are probably the teams I likely expect them... no, C, I take that back. I think B and C probably... I've kind of been convinced on the Spike pass into Sceptile. I think this team is really nice too. I think there's a possibility 3 teams can make it out here. I'm a little bit torn between C and D. I definitely think B is probably the team most likely to make it out though, if I had to guess on this pool. So yeah, stream is going for I don't know how long. I have 12 more pools left to start. We'll see where the night takes us in terms of my energy. To keep doing this, because I am an hour ahead of EST as well, which is important to know. important to note. So my energy is not going to be as high as most people. I would like to at least relax a little bit before work tomorrow. All right, 94, the literal last pool of this. Let's get down into pool 94. Where did pool 94 go? Oh, it's over here. All right. Let's take a look at this one. We got a double Tyranitar pool here. I think this pool... Has this pool had a result already? This pool has had a result. So I guess we can use the result, I guess, to bias our answers of who we think is going to make it out of the pool. I guess it makes it easier. I can't unsee the result on screen, right? That Smeargle won, but let's take a look at this. A large mongoose is it's only 9 p.m. You got to hit your 94 pool quota. It's 9 p.m. I gotta be up at 6 a.m. Right? Come on, man. I know, Sin, and I gotta mock you too in theory, but I'm gonna get Sin. I'm gonna keep it real with you. We're probably doing the mocks tomorrow night, after I come home from hockey, or before hockey, whatever works for you. I'm gonna be honest. That's realistically what's gonna happen here. Sounds like you got 10 more hours to work. That is not even close to true. I guess technically maybe, but. All right, let's actually get enough waffling around. Are we in round tomorrow? All right, we'll do it all tomorrow. All right, a large mongoose here. Tyranitar Gengar. I expect we'll see this core a lot here through this pool. Are you doing all pools or just requested ones? Where are my Emerald open ones? You literally told me, Pythons, that you're playing next week. Don't give me that. You know I'm playing next week too. All good. We're doing the pools that are requested. So I had a lot of people come in earlier in the stream, request some pools. We're doing those. We're going to see where we are at the end of those list of pools. If I want to keep going, we'll keep going and do some more. But otherwise, I expect we're probably going to at least do 12 and then probably a couple more depending on how long we go. Yeah, Noble was saying here in the chat, I like this is a good T-Tar team. I like T-Tar Gengar. That's a core, as I said. We're going to see that a lot in this tour probably. That's one thing that you'll kind of notice because of the smaller pool in ADV. There's going to be a lot of very similar team compositions. If we were doing a Scarlet and Violet team review, it'd be a lot different than that. But obviously in ADV with the smaller pool, you're going to see a lot of the similar cores here. Clearly, I need my pool analyzed. We'll see. I got the list. I'm not going to read it off on stream, but hopefully everyone got who wanted their pool will get in. But I know with 94 pools, there's only so much I can do without making this literally a 10-hour endeavor. Blissey Fortress is kind of nice. Heracross at the Fighter is okay. I'm not the biggest Heracross lover of all time. I used it in Emerald Open 2, I think. Was it 2? Yeah, it was 2. And it was okay. I didn't mind it, but it's definitely like of like that tier of fighters between like Hariyama, Machamp, and like Heracross. Like it's definitely my least favorite um, of those if I had to say. Which, not to say that it's bad. I definitely think it's like still a very powerful option, but definitely not at like the top of my list there. But overall, this team's really good. We have Nidoking on it. Which is like was one of the most winning Pokemon in Emerald Open last time. So really good ground type here, and then Slowbro is just a really good water type. This team has a lot of good things going for it. Said you probably got to run lefties here on most game. Yeah, the T-Tar does kind of force a little bit of that. Though I guess with like Blissey, you do have the option to wish into it a little bit, so maybe you can get a little bit more flexible with that than most T-Tar teams. But I loved Heracross use a V3. It was brilliant. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think like that tier of fighters are all pretty good on a lot of these teams. I think for me, it's just probably my least favorite of them. But like all of these fighting types in that tier are really, really good to pick up. We see another one of them here, Machamp here on Smeargle's team. I was really happy to get Hera myself, for sure. Let's get into this team. So, all right. So this is, as I said, this is part of the problem with doing the stream on like Tuesday. Now, obviously, people are going to play like literally the second pools go up because some people are just psycho like that. I couldn't imagine doing that, but this Smeargle does have a win here in this pool, so that will at least define a little bit how I view this. It's hard for me to not see the win and not be biased, but I like this team. This team's kind of cool. There's a Flygon here, which I'm not like super gassed about, obviously, but like as in terms of like a defensive core of a team, it's like kind of interesting. I would have liked Spikes. You obviously would have liked a Hazard set on this team, obviously, but to make this team really effective. But like Registeel Vaporeon is really good defensively with Zapdos. Machamp, like BP into Machamp is like very, very threatening. Obviously, that's going to be one of the the best ways for this team to put a lot of damage on the board quickly. The only is Raikou can go modest. Yeah, Raikou's a little bit strong. That does make like Registeel checking it a little bit awkward. And like especially if it's like sub, you're not gonna be able to toxic it. So like the Raikou matchup can get a little bit weird. Luckily, in terms of like whether we'll predict you to make it out of the pool or not, you avoided the Raikous for now. So that helps your case a lot here. Flygon is here. The one thing I don't like about Flygon is there's not like a big pressure to be a hidden power that's not ice. That's like I mean Flygon gets a lot of hate. A lot of it being a meme, and I think a lot of like what I look for in Flygon is like, can you at least pressure the hidden power to allow it to leverage its defensive typing? But this one, not going to be the case as much. And the Hypno is a good passer here, though unfortunately not a lot of things want to accept the Calm Mind pass, which is not great. I guess Zapdos would take it actually. Never mind, I lied. Zapdos would be really good at taking one. We're going to get Solrock, Hypno, and Tauros Maldo at the end. Yeah, Tauros would have been nice here. I mean, you want the spin here to keep your Registeel and Vaporeon kind of up to speed, but Solrock would have been a potential nice addition as well. Lady Monica's team here, Tyranitar team with Melodic here as kind of a defensive piece to go along with it. Jolteon, a good mon here as well. We see Scizor. I don't know how I feel. Scizor, Dodrio. I don't know how I feel about that combination specifically. It feels like a little bit, I don't want to say like overlapping because they're definitely different, but like if you're going to if you draft the Scizor, I feel like you don't necessarily need another like a random baton pass strat like Dodrio. You can wish pass. Yeah, exactly. Like Hypno's a really, really good Zapdos partner. Absolutely 100%. I don't like the Dodrio a lot here, and like Jumpluff has Jumpluff has some good things that it can do here. The problem is that like I would like one of the things that like makes Jumpluff good is when you can take advantage of like positive like hidden power situation matchups. But like Flygon kind of like forces a good one against Jumpluff. So like I don't know, Jumpluff's gonna struggle here. Obviously like the best like the Jumpluff team that we saw do really well initially was Swampert. It gets Wish and BP. You can Wish and Switch. Did I miss something? Yeah, Wish and BP are mutually exclusive on Hypno. Yeah. I was gonna say sorry. I read the chat there. I got confused for a second. Jumpluff need if we get Jumpluff spikes, then it would be broken. It would be one of the most. It would be a super fire Pokemon. I dropped it every time. Yeah, but I mean, you can just wish and switch. It doesn't actually matter too much. I guess that does like limit your ability. Like it changes the set from it lowers some of your options for different sets. But yeah, BP. Yeah, it's one of the things that like for ADV is like most of the baton passers get it from XD, and there's like a lot of random wish, like a lot of random event stuff. It's kind of hard to like go back and forth between like modern stuff and all that. Hope you're having a good one. I'm having a good one, man. I'm having a good day today. It's a long stressful day at work, but we get to talk ADV draft now to end the day. We'll go to Josen's team next. We have Lax, Gyarados, Regice, Donphan, Espeon, Houndoom. I like the Houndoom. Houndoom was a Pokemon I was kind of super high on. Obviously, its use cases like can be pretty niche into what it's particularly good on, but I think it'll probably be decent on this team. My God, I'm right to all this relevant special access moves. Yeah, the access moves, like especially for like if you're coming into that Espeon. Yeah, if this was Zam, that would have been huge. I mean, the 1 point for Zam over Espeon is definitely worth it every time. Yeah, that's one thing, especially if you're coming from the modern gens, which I know like at least for ADV Draft League, we have a really good community of people in that play like ADV specifically versus a lot of people who play modern gens. That's the one thing that's really tough, especially like with move availability basically not mattering in like Sword and Shield and SV, like in terms of like moveset compatibility. Moveset compatibility is like a massive thing in ADV and Gen 3 especially. It comes up a little bit in like the other gens as well. There's some like really quirky stuff in like Gen 4 with events and like shinies and stuff. Like the only thing that really comes up I think in SV is you can't be shiny Greninja because shiny Greninja can't be Battle Bond. I'm an old head, but I started out in Gen 4. Yeah, I think technically my competitive started out in Gen 4. Like I was playing on Shoddy Battle like back in the day in Gen 4. Though like I played like competitive Gen 3, I guess, with my friends, whether you consider that real or not. My like first actual competitive experience was Shoddy Battle, which is it makes me feel saying Shoddy Battle in the big 2026 makes me feel fucking old, man. It's been like that's a long time ago. That's for the real ones who've been playing competitive mons for a while. I play on the Shoddy official server. Man, do we gotta Sin? Have you seen Shoddy Battle before? Do you know what it looks like? This thing was. I wasn't ever old enough to play on what is it called? On BattleNet or whatever it's called. But dude, look at this. This is what we used to play on, Sin. Oh, that's loud. Look at this. Look at this hype. Isn't this hype to play on? Like you have like radio buttons here and then you click the use. That's so fire. Oh man, that's a little nostalgic here. To get there, Walmart shot. That's what it was, basically. Can you rate my draft? I signed up as OG Albina or Net Battle. That's what it was called, not BattleNet. BattleNet's a fucking Blizzard thing. Dude, Shoddy Battle was funny. That was big 2008 UI energy right there. Or early. It had its early 2000s aura to it. We'll say that. Can you rate my draft? I signed up as OG Albina. I don't think we're going to be rating OG Albina's draft. I helped him draft. But he like decided to like not spend points early. I don't know. I think his team ended up being fine, but we'll see how it works out for him. In terms of who's making out of this pool, I think Smeargle and Josen are probably the two teams I likely expect to make it out. The Pokemon Crater UI, that's a crazy throwback too. I wasted so many of my days playing Pokemon Crater, that's for sure. Actually, no, I take that back. I think Smeargle's going to make it out, but I think part of that is going to help by the fact that they already have a win here. I think it's between a large Mongoose and Josen for me, definitely for the second team to make it out here. I feel like a large mongoose. I like the team a little bit more. I think part of the problem I don't like about Chosen's team is I don't like Houndoom, Electrode, and Relicanth, and that I feel like a lot of those Pokemon can struggle to come in in a lot of matchups, and you might run into situations where you have some 5-mon-ish teams, and you have over here you have Blissey and T-Star and Gengar. Like there's a lot going on here. Obviously, Snorlax is going to be really really good, but I think a large mongoose and Smeargle are my two teams that I expect to make it out of this one. With struggle against fighting types, it kind of does a little bit, yeah. I mean, you can check them well with Gyarados here, like especially Heracross gets checked by Gyarados pretty well, but... Alright, on to pool 39. I think my pool is... Is my pool the next one after this? Hold on. Yeah, we did. Someone did put my pool in. That's funny. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about my pool, guys. But you'll see that. All right, as we get into this pool, guys, we are about a third of the way through the pools that we have on the list so far. So if you haven't already, make sure to like the stream, do a lot of fun stuff, really help support the content that we do every year for Emerald Open and all the other ADV Draft League content we have going on. We have one more game for the Hoenn Draft Invitational Finals that I think is going to be happening on... That's going to be happening on Friday, I think, is when they're scheduled. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be at least doing 14. I want to do more. We'll see what happens when I get to 14. Whether we have the energy to do more is that we will see as we kind of get more into the stream. You put your pool in because you and J-Scurf said you had a funny pool. I don't even think J-Scurf suggested my pool. Someone else suggested it. It wasn't me. I don't like necessarily want to talk about my pool either because I don't want to like. I've actually thought about my matchups a little bit, so I don't want to think about. I don't want to like give away my secrets or anything. Not that I have super in-depth secrets of what I thought about anyway. All right, we got Seeker's pool here. Keldeo 500. So we got two Celebi drafters here. Another Celebi arrow thing. So Seeker's team. I think this Keegan guy is gonna go 3-0. Yeah, I mean, like, crazier things have happened, Pythons. I don't know. Am I going to be J-Scurf in, like, the true mirror? I don't know. J-Scurf was saying he doesn't have the ADV bag right now, so maybe I'll get him, but I don't think I've actually undefeated any of my pools in Emerald Open before. It just shows how much of a scrub I can be. All right, let's lock in. All right, this is a Seekers team here. This feels like one of those classic, like, real, like, defensive blast Zapdos teams we see here. I think Seeker, you drafted a team kind of in this concept similar in Hoenn Draft Invitational, at least on one of the teams I remember. This is a really, really nice kind of like, defensive team here. Marowak is super fire. I like Marowak. I feel like that's like the ground types. It doesn't get a lot of love sometimes, but like I feel like every time Marowak is like on screen, or like when we watch these pool games and stuff, it's doing super fire. It was more offensive with Glalie. This is similar to my V3. Yeah, I was gonna say this is like a concept that you draft like pretty consistently. But yeah, we got some Vigoroth and Pinsir. Can't wait for Lefty's Whack to come once. Yeah, Zapdos into Marowak is a classic. I like in terms of a defensive team, I really like these, like Zapdos, Blissey, plus like insert your Reggie here, core Regirock. They're all now the same price, actually, funnily enough. The Regirock stocks, I feel like, have finally caught up a little bit with the rest of them at this point. Go into Keldeo's team. I kind of like Keldeo's team a lot here. There's another Celebi Arrow team. But we have a lot of other stuff going on here. A lot of high attack SDers, so much, yeah. There's a lot going on this team that I like here. So Celebi Arrow is obviously kind of like one of the classic combinations you have. Vaporeon, another good Pokemon to have on these type of teams. I really like Machamp, and especially with like Celebi Pass, right? Like Pass into Machamp is like really, really threatening. There we go, Cinerad. Yeah, you hear Keldeo, and it's like, guys, are we talking about SV Draft League again? Are we talking about Carrot Keldeo? No, we're not talking about how Terra Keldeo is the only thing that keeps Meowscarada in business here. We're not talking about that right now. But like Celebi Pass into Machamp is obviously is like very, very powerful and very threatening. Fortress is just a decent, like, before it just gets a little hate, but like it's just a decent spiker and spinner to really enable a lot of the offensive pieces you have. And then Typhlosion's a good breaker here too. Typhlosion is kind of nice, especially with like a little bit of spike stack. It can help open up a little bit of situations for the rest of your offense and the Nidoqueen. I like this team a lot. Just get Poliwrath. Yeah, that's your Keldeo at home. It's just draft Poliwrath and ADV. I'm gonna say probably not the same, but I do like Keldeo's team here a little bit, quite a bit. We got Rick here. We got our first Skarmory Starmie draft, so kind of a team based around basically like controlling it and winning the hazard game kind of to the best of your ability here. Jolteon is a nice electric to pick up in a core like this. Yeah, Poliwrath is Thanos. Yeah, L5's got some good Poliwrath replays in Emerald Open, I think. Did they get snapped in the replay? What happened in the replay thing? I don't actually know if they did or not. That's crazy. No way. Someone just... It was... I gotta disable streamer mode. But just sent me a screenshot of a friggin' ladder ranking on Shoddy Battle on Wayback Machine. That's so funny. God, it's been... I feel old looking at that stuff again. Let's be thankful we don't have to play on that anymore. Showdown and the modern games are just too good. Yeah, it was a turn 5 Poliwrath. Yeah, it was that replay. I don't... Is that replay like still up, L5? Do you know? I feel like it wasn't snapped because like I don't think many of the... That would have been like a EO1 is the only thing I think that's like got majorly affected by the replay snap. Just realize you're hitting. No, dude. I'm always overhating. Unfortunately, I got too many agendas. But I don't know. Every team I think we've seen so far has like been pretty decent. But it was EO3 that was snapped. Yeah. Look, all I know is look if I'm hating too much on your team, just know that I'm probably not in the tour for very long. So you have that solace going on. It would have been EO3. Damn. I see it would have been snapped. That's so tough. We got Medicham here. We got a passer into Medicham here, which is nice. Arcanine here is pretty good. Is it another 0-3 here? I've never 0-3'd any of my pools. I'll tell you that much. I've like 1-2'd some of them before, but I've never 0-3. That's crazy. I think I went 2-2 last year. There's like a photo of me giving me the thumbs up after 6-0ing D-Ray in game 1 of my pools last year. Can you hit on my draft, please? I'll hit on your draft, L5. We're getting there. Don't worry. Arcanine here is like a decent Pokemon. I don't know. This team feels a little bit underwhelming, and that's like got a little bit of the defensive concept some of the other teams do, but not as effective. Oh, I like Mascabar's team. This is a team I can really get behind. So we got Celebi here, which is super fire. SD passed into Medicham or Agility passed into Medicham, both really good options. We have Glalie, one of like the premier spikers. Claydol, one of the premier spinners and ground types. Gyarados is a good endgame win condition for a lot of these teams with Dragon Dance. Tauros is like a really good normal here too. We've had a lot of talk with normal about like normals being really good, Tauros being one of them. And then Ampharos is a really good like spit F check into a lot of things. And like Haunter is a spin blocker a lot of people like. I'm not like as super high on it, but like I definitely think it's like definitely usable for sure. I think realistically, if I had to pick the two teams I like the most here that are most likely to get out, I think Seeker. Obviously, there'll be a little bit of player bias on that. But like Seeker uses these teams very consistently and always does well with them. So I expect Seeker to make it out here. I think it's between Keldeo and Mascabar here. Team gets like, yeah, Choice Band will be tough to deal with. Like this team is very reliant on offense, like kind of keeping momentum up with offensive pressure. So I think it's between Keldeo and Mascabar for me to get get 2 wins. I don't think there's an opportunity for wins here in this pool for there to be 3 people to get out, but I think it's going to be one of those 2 teams. Are there a lot of good choice banders in this pool though? Not really. It's like Machamp, right? And like Machamp at least kind of gets held back by Claydol. It forces like harder turns, at least realistically. Terra Keldeo would make us. Well, yeah, I guess like if you had a Terra Keldeo in ADV draft league, it'd probably be pretty good. So yeah, you're probably right on that one. I think I'm gonna back Mascabar. I think only in that I feel like I really like this team. I feel like this is a team I'd have a lot of fun using, and I kind of want to put it into the world that team is gonna make it out of pools. All right, Terracolia would be, yeah, it'd be like a little bit good in this. In ADV Draft League, just like a tad. Fighting is physical. That's true. I guess you have that nerf. But like Terra Water, like attacks in ADV Draft would still be pretty nasty. We'll probably just allow it. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna allow Illuminate Cactur, right, might as well do anything. All right, we're gonna go through this pool pretty quickly because, as I said, I'm not gonna give like true opinions on my pool in chat because like I'm obviously building for these players and building for these teams. You get to see the team that I drafted, which is a Raikou Dragonite Claydol team. I like my team. I feel like the Cope Aggron at the end for a Steel type. I've done that twice. I'm not sure if I like that. I feel like it's probably a mistake. I probably could have just gone something else. But overall, I think it's like a decent team. I think there are like I feel like as I went through, I have to, yeah, Miltank is Thanos in this format. It's one of my favorite mons, for sure. I feel like this team is fine. I don't have a good way. Metacham, no BP into it. You don't know Kelly, you know nothing. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know a lot, but that's not why. Metachan will struggle a little bit. I think this team is fine. I think it's a decent team. I mean, drafting has always been like in terms of like my like personal skill set in draft league. One of the things I've always struggled with the most in terms of like the team concept angle, and stuff. So like definitely something I struggled with. But I think like this team is pretty good here. Keegan knows nothing then. That's crazy. Quillfish Force and non-tem. We're not talking about what my team does with Terra Keldeo. that's low-key not even close to relevant. GSC NU pool. We'll check it out. Is it on my list? I feel like that was on my list. It's not. Well, yeah, the spikes. Yeah, I mean, the spikes was the biggest priority on this team. After like especially the top like Raikou, D-Knight, and like Claydol Miltank, I needed spikes on this team for the team to be like effective in these matchups. So GSC and you mentioned, yeah. So I don't have an opinion on this team. I'll back myself to get out of this pool, obviously, and I guess I'll back Jay Scurf to get out because Jay Scurf is obviously one of the better players, at least on like the modern gen side of draft league, for sure. But like, I mean, look at Jay Scurf and I's matchup. Like team conceptual wise are like basically the same, which will be really funny, except like the difference is that he has Gyarados versus D-Knight. He has a Registeel, which is a little bit interesting, and has like a little bit of a worse Spiker. There's a lot to consider here. This will be an interesting matchup. This is one I was like considering angling playing on stream, but like just like the timing wise, like it's not gonna work out. And there's a Shedinja here if you guys are into Shedinja. Trust me, Raikou's gonna do something for Suzu. Yeah, I like. The one thing I will say is I think Raikou probably has a good match. I think MSUS is probably a little bit disappointed to see 3 Raikou teams in their pool. Probably not what they would have. Probably not would have been the plan. I think going into this. All right, let's go. Pool 20. Oh, we got a Funk's team here. We got big Rocket Launcher 8. We got this is a heavy hitter pool. We got some of the best ADV players that you've ever seen in your life with big Rocket Launcher 8. Why does it use heroin for sale? That's crazy. The people just have anything as a username in the big 2026. All right, let's take a look at these teams here. Shroom 101, we have Salamence, Blissey, Gengar. Salamence Blissey is another classic core. A lot of ways that like Salamence teams will start off, especially in these like open tournaments. Gengar's a pretty good pickup as well for this team. This team then does get a little weird. We kind of go off the rails a little bit in terms of like we have a large diversity of like decent options we can pick from, but not a lot of like super powerful ones. Hitmonlee's fighter is a little bit awkward. It's definitely not one of my favorite ones. Like, if I'm going with one of these frailest fighters, I kind of prefer Primeape a little bit, personally. Ludicolo's decent. Gardevoir is actually pretty good. I've been a little bit more in on Gardevoir recently after seeing, seeing JBL, I think, use it. No one Draft Invitational to good success. And then Steelix as a ground steel type is going to be pretty decent. They're like a 0.7 Thanos is on the team. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Shout out Kalos narrates, yeah. So we got Funk's team, Funk in chat. What do we got here? We got Ursaring here. Ursaring, another demon normal type. Customized. Yeah, Ludicolo is a fun Pokemon to draft with. I've used it. I'm trying to think. I feel like I used it like at one point, but it wasn't in. I think I used Ludicolo in the video that Joey Nexus, Owen and I did. I feel like I picked it up because Joey wanted to use Suicune or whatever, so I picked it up for a second battle that we had as a match in a battle there. So that Pokemon, I haven't used it a lot though. It's one at least on my list. Gentle Nature and Optimal. I've done Gentle Nature. I mean, you do stuff with that with Regice too. I did it with Dragonite, I think, at one point. I think I played Kaz in Hoenn Classic at one point, and I was on the way to a wedding, and I built the team on the flight, and came up with this cracked Gentle DD Dragonite set to set up on Starmie or something ridiculous, which was super troll and just lost to Dragonair. But you can EV HP defense, but yeah, Ludicolo is super fire. Love that Pokemon. Funk's team: Zapdos, Registeel, Alakazam, Slowbro, Venusaur. There's a lot going on here. That's nice. I really like Alakazam. As I said, I really like Alakazam. It's pretty good here. This team feels a little odd to me. Zapdos Pass is going to be pretty good with this team, all things considered. This team's pretty decent. The Raticate is a little random. I don't know what the visual Raticate is. I guess there's not a lot of awesome 2-pointers, but I'm curious to see what Ursaring will do. Ursaring's a really fire normal type. I think that's one thing that we'll probably see kind of with Tauros is people are going to find more normals to use. Zap Agility Pass and Ursaring will be pretty good. See when normals come up as people start to prioritize them a little bit more and try to use some of the cheaper ones as they become more expensive. Yeah, on the I don't know. LRXC probably griefed you on that one. I got bad news for you. It seems a little mid. I'm not a big fan of that one. Unfortunately for Goat Funk. Big Rocket Launcher 8. What does Big Rocket Launcher 8 have this year? T-Tar, Registeel, Charizard. We got another Ludicolo team here. Flygon. How's our hidden power situation? Looking not awesome. HPS will probably be pretty likely just to deal with the Flygon, so you're not going to gain any value there. The Spiritomb is nice from the wrap, but it's just not. It's just not a thing. I think people will consider the speed tier. I don't know how much that actually matters from these low tier guys, and if people are truly gonna actually consider that, but it can happen. Smeargle has obviously got an infinite amount of utility that you can use with it, so that's an interesting team there. And then Shinobu Kocho, I assume, or Kocho, I don't know how to pronounce it. My pronunciation is always unfortunately gonna be really not awesome. We have round 1 Blissey here. I don't want to say off the board here. Blissey often I find just better pairs with some of the other round 1 guys. Blissey, Arrow, Melodic, Espeon, Hitmontop. This team feels a little bit underpowered. This team feels like we have a lot of we have 3 round 2 picks and then a bunch of okay mons here. Trapinch is a fun Pokemon. I used Trapinch in EO1 and had okay success with it. It put up a little bit of value, but I mean, it's certainly, obviously, it's a Trapinch, right? It's nothing crazy. You're not trapping a lot with it, but for 2 points, you can get a decent amount of value to just trade for something that you might not otherwise, which is super, super nice. Well, yeah, Trapinch is really, really fire. I like that Pokemon a lot. This pool, I don't know. This pool's got a lot of Pokemon that I'm not super high on. I'm not high on a lot of these teams. A lot. So I don't really know where I expect this pool to go. I think Shrimp is just bad. It's not that bad. It's you can kill something. If you draft it, you'll get a kill within pools, right? For 2 points, that's probably okay, right? Well, you're probably okay with that, I would say. If I had to guess what team I like the most, I think Rocket Launcher 8, Big Rocket Launcher 8. I think I like his team the most here, realistically. So I kind of think he's going to make it through. And then I think Shrimp, probably. maybe Funk. Between Shimmer Funk, I think, is what I would like next. But yeah, I think Big Rock and Luxury definitely has the best team in this pool for sure. All right, now we're in. Oh, is Tony here? I know Tony is kicking around. He was making fun of me for being bad at Fortnite in Goons chat earlier. But we gotta go Tony, Wi-Fi player, Clurd, Goop, and Icewing. Let's see what we got here. So we got double Lax Pool. Who keeps letting Mana draft Snorlax? I got bad news for you. I don't know what Mana like. Wasn't Mana pick 5? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Mana was pick 5 because I remember Zugu was right before Mana pick 4 and took Raikou over Snorlax, I think. So yeah, I don't know why Mana keeps getting Snorlax. Mana got pick 5 and still got. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's there's not much we can do at this point for that. But we're not looking at that pool right now. We're looking at this one. Pool 71 here at the bottom. Took Raikou before Lax and Zapdos. Yeah, Plot Armor goes a little crazy. Let's take a look at this draft we got here. So Snorlax, Regice, Claydol, Weezing, Blaziken, Slowking, Electrode, Haunter. This is a decent team. I don't like the lack of spikes on this team. I feel like this team would definitely benefit a little bit from having spikes to allow us to like get some kind of leverage a little bit more at the damage from Snorlax and kind of the pivoting that'll be forced with our defensive core. Unless I'm not blind, there's not a spiker on this because we also have Haunter. Why would we take Haunter if we don't have a spiker on this team? I feel like Haunter is out of place. I'd rather just take like a Pineco to have fighting resist with the Lax Regice. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of fighting resist. Like, you're going to be fighting against that. There's not really... You have a Heracross here, so there is, like, a really good fighter in your pool. But, like, yeah, I would have at least maybe liked us to prioritize a Spiker over the Ghost. Mimic Spikes, I mean, if you get the Mimic Spikes going, you're beast mode for that. It's not impossible, right? Like, is there really a good opportunity to get Mimic Spikes going in this pool? I think it's Quillfish you can probably get... I mean, is Quillfish the only Spiker in this pool? Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, I think this team, I like this team. I feel like this team's pretty cool, though. I think like having access to a Spiker would have been like, I think, really good for this team. And I think would have been probably better than the Haunter. Would have probably been nice to take Pineco there. Goop's team, second team on the list. Hold on. Claydol, Weezing, Slowking, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. What do we got here? Metagross, Swampert, Charizard, Regice, Sceptile, Weezing, Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee's been drafted a lot. Where's everyone's feelings out on Hitmonlee right now? It means normal to mid-ground Claydol, Weezing. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's like a threat in theory more than like actuality. Realistically, when he's not the spinner, wish you could. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like Metacham at home kind of energy. The problem is it kind of is the spinner here though, right? There's no other access to rapid spin on this team, which makes it a little bit difficult. Reversal is not banned. That's correct. Yeah, so you can still get the reversal stuff. There's a lot going with it, but I do think that like. First, you want it to be a second spinner. You don't like you're gonna run into situations here where you're gonna feel the pressure to have rapid spin on your Hitmonlee, which is not where you would prefer to be. Is Chan just better than Lee because of the prio? Getting Lee to spin is basically not getting a spinner. That's true. Is Chan better than Lee? I mean I think Chan is better than Lee a little bit. I don't know. It depends on what you're looking for, right? They both operate in like different roles, right? Like Hitmonlee is like Chan is a better actual spinner. If that's what you're looking for. But Hitmonlee is like can be like a kind of like a good glass cannon offensive threat in a lot of matchups. So like it's got that going for it as well. Overall, I think this team is fun. This is a team that I think benefits. I feel like every team that doesn't have spikes, my first thought is like, imagine if this team had spikes, how much better it would be. But I feel like this team is like definitely fine, right? Like this team, Like Metagross is obviously really good. Metagross Charizard, I like that a decent amount. And then Sceptile is a good way to open up a lot of what you need to enable your top 4. So I do think this team is pretty nice here. What did Tony get? I helped Tony a little bit, I think. We got Lax D-Knight. That's beast mode. Let's go. Shout out to Tony. So yeah, we got Lax, D-Knight, Claydol, Vaporeon. Love that as a top 4. It's a really good top 4. Steelix is a decent steal. Gets a second ground type. Quillfish, good Spiker Zam. I like Tony's team. There's a nice little 1-point Ghastly to like make them think just that like extra little second about clicking Rapid Spin. I feel like people are going to click Rapid Spin into the Ghastly anyway. That's just me, but I like Tony's team a lot here, actually. Am I biased that I helped him a little bit with this? Probably, but as I said earlier, I really like Zam a lot, so I think this will be a cool team. Like, this team's pretty shiced. And then Clert's team, Starmie, Blissey, Heracross, Donphan, Entei, Ludicolo, Solrock, Gramble. There's a lot of cool things here. I don't know about the Gramble. Gramble is a Pokemon I really like in like modern gens because it's a fairy type, and like as a defensive fairy type, it has a lot going on for it. Heal Bell, Dragonite, Curse Rest, this feels like a good Steelix team. Clert's team's kind of nice here. I like Gramble like as a normal. I'm not super high on it. I definitely prefer it like as a fairy type, obviously, but we got Solrock. It's got some BP energy. And this team feels like it's going to have a lot of interesting builds. Ludicolo shows back up as one of the Pokemon we were kind of talking about earlier, being a really interesting kind of EV experiment. A lot you can do with that. And then Heracross is very, very powerful. Heracross is going to be a threat in this pool, by the way. Kind of as we were talking, right? Because like we talked about, like there's a lot of resist here, but they're not going to, like the Mega Horn is going to really help kind of balance out a lot of that in this matchup. Weezing is going to be on... you're going to be putting in overtime, and then you have like for the Weezing you have Starmie, which is going to help a lot there. So if I had to guess the two teams I think are going to make it through, I think Tony's team's the best team in this pool, and then probably between B and D I would guess Goop versus Clerd. I think probably one of those teams are most likely to make it through here. I don't know if I have a preference for which one I would think to go ahead of the other, but definitely, I mean, I'll bias aside because Tony's my guy, and I help the team. I think Tony's team's probably the best here. All right, what do we got? 7 more pools here. We're doing not too bad for energy, actually, so we'll see how many more we can do after this. We're going through a little quicker. Mainly, a lot of that will come down to the fact that, like, as we see a lot of these cores, we kind of talk about some of these ideas. And we kind of rehash over a lot of the ideas as we go. Just won our first match 4-0. Let's go. Congrats. Good way to start the tour here. Oh, H-Clat's team. This is I don't think people... All right, so this one I assume wasn't brought up. H-Clat's already lost 5-0 with this team. Does anyone know what the concept was with this team for H-Clat? Trapinch Sky Pool? Is Trapinch in this pool? No, it's not. Trapinch somewhere else. Hey, that's me. Yeah. I don't... does anyone know what H-Clat was cooking with this? I mean, I certainly don't, obviously. It'll be my reaction. I don't know if people put the... I don't think people suggested this pool for me to give, like, a true, honest opinion on all the teams. Local 32 plumbers up, yeah. First pick, Trapinch and ZTL. Oh, Beast Mode. Starting a draft normal shocks me. I mean, this is a good team, right? We got Zap Medicham pass here, which is pretty good. Starmie's a good second pick to get with Zapdos. That's not something you would expect to get in, like, modern... in like current ADV draft league, right? Just like based on where people draft Starmie and Zapdos normally at this point. And like Registeel is like a pretty fire addition. So all I know is that each guy kept posting a Moneyball copy pass. I mean, this team's kind of Moneyball a little bit, right? Like you got Chansey instead of Blissey, Mischievous, Starmie. Like we just can't do damage is the problem. Nothing for Lickitung. Did he get Lickitung? No way. That can't be true, right? Eggy on Zap teams. Yeah, Exeggutor is a Pokemon. That Pokemon's also super shice, by the way. Just like I think I got like run over by that Pokemon in like EO. God, what Emerald Open? I forget at this point. They all kind of blend together at this point after you've been doing them for so many years. That's a Pokemon that's super fire. So yeah, I really like Earthdir's team here. Colby 2D. This is a team. This is kind of a team that I would like too here. Snorlax, Vaporeon, Regice, Moltres. What's the replay? We'll save the replays. We will save for the replays the battle streams here. I don't want to. We're not going to put any battles here. I just want to do the team compositions. Talk about that right now. We'll watch replays later. I like Colby 2D's team here. I'm not the biggest Crobat fan. Jinx is a pretty good offensive. I actually do like Jinx. That's like on my short list to try at some point. But like Snorlax, Vaporeon, Regice, Moltres is a team that a concept that I like. Flygon, I mean HPS is a little bit maybe pressure, not really. And like yeah, I think Colby's got a good team. What do we got? Dark Catman here. So another Celebi Arrow team, but we got Starmie in the middle of it, which is pretty good. Moltres is a nice addition with Cloyster, Steelix, and Jinx. This seems a little bit Dark weak, but not like the Dark types are like actually like usable in this format, so that's not like something to actually be concerned about too much. I guess like your Houndoom weak, whatever. Who cares about Houndoom? Unfortunately, as much as I love that guy, I think this team is pretty cool as well. Like Celebi has a lot of really good baton pass targets on this team, which is really nice, and they have good hazard setting with Cloyster. Yeah, you are like Lix is got like a lot of heavy lifting to do to kind of like bring this team all together, but like it does a decent job of that, all things considered, right? So like I think like that's going to be realistically a fine addition on this team. And then H-Clat obviously is troll. He says when the team will play Houndoom. Oh, I guess there is a Houndoom. I didn't even consider. I said that like as like a meme, as like oh Houndoom's like even if you see Houndoom, it's like whatever. But like, yeah, I mean Houndoom still struggles to find positions against this team. It's good against Celebi, but like you can't even really do anything against Starmie and stuff like that. I guess Catman does struggle to switch into Houndoom. Actually, I said that as a joke. I completely forgot that we had a Houndoom in this pool, so that'll be a difficult situation to deal with. Clatseem's struggling to Subdoom so hard. I think Clatseem's going to struggle into like most of the Pokemon broadly in this pool. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know if that's going to be that's not going to be an exclusive situation to that. So I think this is a pool we probably see 3 people come out, and that I think everyone will probably beat Clat, unfortunately, just given the team that they have. And then I think there's a lot going, like all these teams are like all pretty decent and all they think have decent opportunities to beat each other. So I think I like Earthdir's team the most, but I do think there's a good opportunity for everyone to kind of get 2 wins here in this pool outside of each Clat and kind of advance that way with our win 2 to advance situation. All right, on to pool number 2, and as we get through the pools, we got 6 more pools left on the initial list that I have. And while we do that, if you guys haven't liked the stream and you've been here, make sure to like the stream. I really appreciate all the support that you guys bring on this every time we do this for all the streams. It's really awesome. We hit over 1,000 subscribers today, which has been a goal that we've had for quite a while on this channel, which will be super awesome with Pokemon Champions coming out. That'll really help help this channel get to the next level. So really appreciate everyone and all the support through this. We got a lot more Emerald Open content to come and Hoenn Draft Invitational coming up later this week, which is going to be exciting. That's been an awesome tournament, and that's what all these tournaments lead to at the end of the day, is the Hoenn Draft Invitational. So let's get into the next set of teams here. We got a few Metagross teams here. These are a lot of good teams on the face that it looks like. So this Raikou team, Raikou, Gyarados, Glalie. Wow, this is a really powerful top 6. I like this team a lot, actually. Raikou, Gyarados is another one of like the classic kind of like concepts that you can have with Raikou, right? It's like the Raikou Dragon Dancer. Just click subscribe myself. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Noble in here, one of our active chatters finally on screen. I do like your team a lot too. But we'll get there. I think Checkmate's team, wow. This is the team I would love to use. This feels similar-ish to my no, is it similar? No, not really. I use some of these guys in a Volt tournament in V3, I think, this year. But this is a team I would love to use all day. Like Raikou, Gyarados, Glalie, Registeel, Machamp. Like as a top 5, That is such a powerful top 5. You have the premier spiker. You have one of the premier defensive tools in Registeel in round 4, by the way. Crazy. One of the premier Dragon Dancers in Gyarados, Raikou, which is one of like the best Pokemon in the format. It's kind of fallen. I wouldn't say fallen out of favor, but definitely like fallen down people's power rankings the last little bit. And then I think people have other Pokemon definitely above it at this point. Where like it definitely was at least viewed like at least a couple years ago as like the best Pokemon. I think Exeggutor is like a crazy, just kind of like a secondary threat that just like if it's not prepared for and like you get to the late game and you like just set up a sunny day, like that one just goes crazy. Really, really like this team from Checkmate here. One of my favorite teams that we've seen so far in this tour. Manu's team here: Zapdos, Swampert, Hariyama, Zam, Tauros, Ludicolo. This is another really cool team. Lunatone's an interesting option here as well. There's a lot that Lunatone has kind of found opportunities to do in this metagame, which is super nice. And then Swallow, just like a decent poison type at the end. A classic late round Swallow, and in an SV classic, but still find some opportunity to do that here in ADV draft as well. John MJ here. We got a Metagross, Jolteon, Dragonite, Tauros. So 2 Tauroses here. How do we feel about normal spam in this pool? I guess normal spam's going to struggle a little bit. There's a Registeel on Checkmate's team. I guess Noble, your team's a little bit weak in a normal spam. I guess you have the Sableye, but so that gives you a little bit of flexibility there. Donphan's gonna, and you have Melodic actually, which is a decent check defensively to these things. Blaziken is nice. Wailord. What does Wailord do, chat? What do we think? For 5 points, what do we feel like we're getting out of Wailord? It's just a decent bulky water, I guess. We got Quillfish round 7, which is like a really nice pickup. Oh, it booms? Okay, good enough. If it's got boom, it's got to use somewhere. Yo, what's up? How's it going? And then Quillfish is a really good pickup at the end here just to get some good hazard stacking to enable Tauros. We got a lot of good, like this is a really good kind of more offensively built team, like just stacking with Quillfish. We don't have a Ghost, but like between Metagross, Dragonite, Tauros, and Blaziken, right? Like we're going to be able to keep up the offensive pressure to really take advantage of those spikes and really kind of force situations that they're not going to be able to get spins off too frequently. And then Noble's team, what do we got here? Metagross, Arrow, Melodic, Donphan, Meganium. Look, I will say, I don't know what's been going on in Gen Chat, but like people in Gen Chat have been hating on Meganium. Like I've been seeing like some of the most like crazy Meganium slander coming out of the Gen Chatters this time around. I don't get it. I like Meganium. I think Meganium's pretty good here, to be honest, right? Like Meganium is like pretty decent, honestly, as like just like a defensive grass. People are just like, I don't know, people post in chat, it's like, oh, you can't beat Raikou, da-da-da. Like, I think Meganium is fine. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. I know some people like will die by the Meganium. But like that's the thing. People are just like, Blossom is just better. I don't see it personally. But I could be wrong on that one. You look like Meganium. What does that mean, Sin? You want to explain to the class what you mean by that one? I wouldn't spend 8 on it. Yeah, maybe it's a little overpriced. How screen tray? It should, right? Hold on. Move the mic. I guess I can just bring up and check Showdown along the side. Not that I have anything that I can really risk. I'm really risking showing. I guess I have a Sword and Shield build, but yeah, there's light screen reflex. So you have screens as well. Because yeah, one of the best ways, like you use like light screen EQ. It's a little bit overpriced, but I think it's fine. I think you're still getting decent value for it. I still like that guy. This team I like. Smeargle obviously is like just like wild card in a lot of these teams, so you do have the hazard stacking that you can do, and you got a little bit of baton pass stuff that you can go around. And like Metagross Aerodactyl is like a very, very difficult combination offensively to switch into. If I had to pick who I think is going to make it out, I'm definitely picking Checkmate because I like Checkmate's team the most out of this pool. I think that team is super fire. Really like that one. And then which one do I like next? Probably Manu's team. I think I like the second most here. I think Noble's team is like probably a close third, and like I could go either way on that one. I like Fade's team a little bit, though I feel like the one of the things I see that could struggle with Fade's team is like it's a very odd. This build, it feels like one that you could like if a turn goes wrong and like you just lose an offensive piece, you can be behind the 8 ball pretty quickly kind of unintended. So I think that's the team. I think those are the teams that I expect to do the best. And like this could be a pool. Maybe that there's a bunch of 2-1s. I don't think that's realistic. Gen Chatters, Snip Glue. Like we don't gotta go that crazy on hating the Gen Chatters. The Gen Chatters are haters, but my team is just annoying. I think your team's got a lot going for it, but we'll see. I don't know. I just really like the first team, and then from there, I think it's difficult to really differentiate the most likely winner from there. All right, what pool 59? Where are we at here? McMuffin Bird and Aonfa. Big Aonfa, who is in. Aonfa is in right now in our Hoenn Draft Invitational Grand Finals. Violet River did win game 1 of Grand Finals to force the second game. That game is likely going to be on Friday evening. So definitely make sure you're around for that. That's going to be a super, super awesome game. The first game was ridiculous. If you haven't seen the replay yet, either watch the replay or watch the stream of it on that channel, on this channel. That was an unbelievable game. The quality of ADV Draft League in that tournament has been unbelievable. Definitely a tournament. If you want to just like replay watch, a lot of great replays to watch there from that tournament. Let's take a look at what we got here in this star. We got Ellis, McMuffin Bird. So we got 2 Starlax Drafters. The game was Mickey. I mean, Aonfa just brings Dynamic Punch. I don't know what the idea with Dynamic Punch is. Like, I guess like I think we watched like a game in like upper bracket where he like clicked Dynamic Punch and missed like 7 times. It's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we using Dynamic Punch? It's surely it can't be that good, right? Like that we need to have Dynamic Punch on our team. Let's take a look at this Raikou team. Raikou, Swampert, Dragonite. So we got Raikou, Dragonite, one of the classic ways to use Raikou in ADV. Miltank, Thanos, normal type, one of my favorite normal types personally. It gets lock on. Yeah, it's like Saki and GSC. Yeah, pretty much. Donphan, good ground type spinner here to kind of keep the hazards away to allow your Miltank and Raikou to really thrive in this situation. Jinx, pretty good offensive Pokemon. What's Jinx getting you here on this team that you really like? A good fighting check, offensive fighting check. Obviously not counter, not then switching in. Lunatone, good baton pass angles that you can pull off a Lunatone for sure. And then Haunter, I guess like as a normal immunity makes people think about. I don't know. You have the Lunatone, so I don't know how much it's really going to particularly matter. And you don't have the spikes to spin block with. So I don't know if I like the Haunter here, but I don't know. A lot of people are higher on Haunter than I am, so... McMuffin Bird here. Snorlax, Regice, Claydol, Moltres, Machamp, Slowbros. This is definitely a top 6 team, for sure. There's a Swallow here, which like could find some niche situations. Haunter helps with steal coverage. Is it really helping with steal coverage though? Is that really what we're gonna use it for? I don't know. I just like look at Haunter and I just don't think that we're gonna be able to find. Maybe I just don't believe in it. It's like a fine spin blocker. Like you would do some things with it, but like I think you need the spin block on top of like all the extra things to like really truly justify the slot. McMuffin Bird's a good top 6 team here. As I said, I'm really big on Machamp here, and Machamp's going to do a lot of work to pressure a lot of the physically defensive Pokemon that you're going to want to break through that you're going to want to force in to enable your Snorlax in the end game. Regice, Claydol, Moltres, just a good kind of offensive, kind of defensive kind of combination as well going on there. And then Swallow, like you kind of, I don't know like how much that's going to force in prep. And then Shedinja kind of forces random prep, but I don't see Shedinja really making much of an impact at all, realistically, in this battle. The funny thing about Shedinja, the only time I think I've seen Shedinja actually use an ADV Draft League is the video I referenced earlier. It's on my channel. What was it? Joey used it against me. Against my T-Tar team too, which is ridiculous. He had this crazy Shedinja set. So like definitely like worth watching that video if you want to see. I guess Shedinja actually didn't do anything. The set was funny, but it didn't actually do anything, unfortunately. We got Shroomish here. I don't think that one's going to matter too much. But Camille's team, what do we got here? Raikou, Blissey, Cloyster, Moltres, Donphan. Ooh, I like this team. This is another super sweet team. Raikou team. Raikou Blissey is really good. Moltres, I'm super, super big fan of this. And like Mischievous is a good trapper, honestly. I mean, like you can trap like you can trap a lot of like random sped up walls with this guy, just like unassumingly. And like if you just like break one of the sped up walls, like you really enable Raikou to really have a field day here. Kangaskhan's another really good like breaker, normal spam. Like this is a team that has like 7 Pokemon that I would be confident bringing every single game. So I really like this team a lot. And then Aelonfa's team, we have Celebi, Regirock, Gyarados, Donphan, Weezing, Kangaskhan, and Chansey. Another pretty good team here as well. We have like 3, I would say 3 really solid teams here in this one. I think, wow, I kind of 4 solid teams, right? Like I feel like C is probably the best team out of these if I had to guess. At least it's the one that I probably prefer to use the most. Maybe B is up there for me as well. So if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's hard to not pick Alpha to make it out of this pool just on like the player difference, right? Considering like they're literally in the grand finals of our ADV, our yearly ADV tournament. But I feel like their team is probably my 3rd favorite here. Stuff like Machamp can be really hard. Yeah, there is a Machamp in this pool, right? Like I think you're definitely going to struggle against that. I think McMuffin Bird and I'm going to say Camille because I can at least I know how to pronounce that one. I think are my 2 most likely to make it out of this pool just based on the team quality. But obviously you can't you can't discount Alpha at any point, right? Just on the player skill alone there. All right, Battle Pool 11. All right, we got Fierce Flamethrower, someone who's definitely I recognize from like the modern gens and stuff here for sure. Friedel for Wii U. I think it's played on like a lot of the Emerald Open tours and a lot of the ADB tours pretty consistently. So what do we have now? We got 4 more teams here, or pools here. We'll probably do a couple more after that, guys. So if you guys want to post a few more in chat, I could probably add to the list. I'll probably add 2 or 3 more here. Just add a little bit more length to the stream. And while you do that and go down to the comments, make sure to like the stream while you're down there. As I said, it really helps the stream and the content do well. Appreciate kind of everything that everyone has provided. All the support everyone's provided has been pretty awesome throughout this tour. This tour, I mean, if I was on the list, pool 78. All right. Unfortunately, are we just going to... I'll just add a bunch more. Why not? Let's just... You know what? I'm not feeling too bad. Let's just lock in. We'll do pool... I just want advice on my pool. All right. We're going to get down... That's what? 10? We got 11 pools now on the list. So we'll leave it at that. Jay Scurf, did you cover our pool? I did a little bit. I talked about it. There's not much I can talk about with our pool. I'm not going to give like my opinions on my matchup. I'm building for it, right? Like... I don't know what you can say. What I will say, as I do think it's funny that we're playing with like basically the same team concept. That'll be a fun game to watch. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much you want me to cover here. Pool 64. I don't have. I think I'm going to leave it at the list I have now. So I've got 11 pools here now, including the one we're doing now in the queue, and I think that should be good. 7 frauds to get 6 out. If I said his team is 7 frauds, then my team sucks. Right? Then what am I doing, right? I can't say that. I think our pool will be fine. I think, unfortunately, M. Sousa's team is like a particularly weak against Raikou, and then they pulled 3 Raikous in their pool. So I think they're going to have a rough go of it a little bit in that pool. So like I think our pool has a chance to have like 3 2-1s make it out because of that, but we'll see how things shake up. As we go. So yeah, I got 11 pools now in the queue, including this one. So I think we're good now in pools. That should take us at least another hour through the stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm glad 2-1s can make it out. Yeah, all 2-1s. It's just a good quality of life thing that we've started doing in different tours. And it just makes things clean and easy and gives everyone a clear target. And like playing for diff, I always find to be super weird and awkward, right? Like it's just, I don't know, it creates weird incentives for people, and I think people just end up playing in ways that just like aren't conducive to fun. I think I went off on Kaz more than he deserved in EO4. I will say, I think people, yeah, I definitely a lot more than people deserve. I mean, we put a lot of effort to run this tour, so I know. Like these situations can definitely get heated in the moment and stuff, but like it does take a lot of effort to put on these tours. So I appreciate everyone, everyone being kind to us when they can be. Because yeah, as I say, this takes a lot of effort to put on every year. Um, all right, let's not because we got 11 pools now. We got to get through these here. So no more pools. I'm not looking at anything past the ones I got on my list. We got to finish this at some point tonight. Friedel for Wii U. What do we got here? Snorlax, Regirock, Vaporeon. We got a Flygon here that doesn't really have any hidden power pressure. So, I mean, HP Ice is at least easy to switch into with the Vaporeon. Though, depending on... The problem is like, Vaporeon is likely going to be caught by the main stab of the HP Ice Mon anyway. But there's a Lantern there, so there's a little bit going on with that. This team's a little weird. I feel like I like the Snorlax, Regirock, Vaporeon. Espeon's kind of nice here as well. That's a Pokemon that seems to have been doing very well, but I'm not as high on it as other. It feels a little underpowered here. It feels a little underpowered. Divides electrics well enough. That is kind of true. You got a little bit of that going on. But I feel like this team... Hitmonlee is kind of cool. I don't know. This team feels like it lacks... I feel like I'm missing one big offensive threat. Should we clarify when I say that? One more big offensive threat here. I kind of feel like I like on this team. It's cool to learn potential team strats and some niche cores. It's really good. I would say, like, especially like if you're learning these formats, one thing that I like to do is just look at as many teams as possible, right? Because like it's an easy way to just like quickly get a perspective on where everyone else's head is at in the format. And kind of work back and kind of build your own perspective off of that. It's something I do a lot in stuff like Cerulean Violet, a format that like I played a lot of at this point, but especially getting back into Draft League was a format I definitely struggled to kind of grasp initially. Fierce Flamethrowers team. This is a really good top 6 team. Melodic in round 6 is like a crazy inclusion. It's a bulky water. Raikou, Gyarados, Regirock is like, and Miltank is like a Thanos core. I really like this team. I think this is at least, this like to me is my front runner so far for one of the best teams in the pool. Salty Living the Dream. We got what type of team? We got Smeargle and Slacking here. Obviously they're going to operate in different roles entirely, so it's not really a lot of normal overlap here. But we got T-Tarzan, which is pretty decent. I'm trying to think of like what I feel like. Yeah, T-Tar with Heracross is probably realistically pretty fine here. You do lose out a little bit on the Salax stuff with like Charizard and Heracross and like some of the sub belly drum stuff you can do with like Charizard and stuff. So like it can be a little bit seem to be a frequent pair. Yeah. The sand can hurt some of the options on this team a little bit, but like you definitely have a lot of offensive pressure to really push through and really open up your T-Tar, which I like. And then Slaking is obviously pretty interesting. And Smeargle gives you so many opportunities to get situations for your Charizard and Heracross set up, which is basically knowing nothing other than affirming what the obvious ones were. I mean, like, I look at this team, and like in each pick at each round, it feels like you drafted them on that probably shouldn't have been there. Which, like, I guess, like, Donphan is the only one that probably makes sense. I guess Regirock makes sense here as well, depending on where like this actually ended up. But like Smeargle, yeah. This team really came out well, and you got like every round got really good value here. The second Motto's team, this is an underpointed team, right? Like this is left a lot of points on the board kind of team, I think, or at least left a decent amount. This team is definitely underpowered. Kingdra is like a big question mark to me. I'm not like, I don't know, like 100, like Kingdra to me doesn't feel good in kind of like almost any situation. Like if you want like these like sort of like self weather setting threats, I feel like Executor is just better. You already have like Ludicolo and Swampert. Kingdra Ludi isn't real like, yeah, this is not it. I don't think this team is it, unfortunately. So if I had to guess what teams come out of this, I definitely think Fierce Flamethrower seems obviously the best one on this one. And then like from there, probably Salty Living the Dream. No, Friedel's team is probably a little bit better. I think like the quality of lax here is just going to kind of overwhelm a little bit. And the team's like okay against T-Tower, which kind of helps out with that. All right, pool 86 is our next one. All right, we got righties these nuts. Let's go. A banger name, obviously. What's up, Bastian? How's it going? All right, we're back. We're back locked in. Okay, Darth Tauren here. So we got Omastar. Wow, we reached. What happened in this pool? Why do we take Omastar like round 3? Were they just like taking like a bunch of the the hazards? I've seen like a lot of times like in these drafts, just like you'll get into situations where you just like have to like over prioritize like certain things like spin and hazard. I remember I did like black and white cup. He liked the idea. Okay, fair enough. Like I did black and white cup on Smogon like a while ago, and like I ran into a situation where like everyone just took a spinner in round 2, so he just drew for fun. I mean, he got like decent value out of this. I don't know. Omastar is like a Pokemon that like, it's a Pokemon that always ends up having like a randomly high win rate, just like as the nature of being a spiker. That's like half decent. But I mean, maybe that's like older EOS. It had like really good win rates. But like overall, like the spiker. I mean, the spiker is nice. You need a spiker on these teams. You have a good spin blocker here. Its kill to death ratio is awful. Yeah, it's not killing Pokemon inherently. It's definitely getting kills with spikes rather than anything else. And spikes don't stay up. I mean, the spikes will stay up in this matchup, right? You do have the Dusclops here. So like you do have a good way to keep hazards up here. Metacham here doesn't have a lot of great ways to get in for free, which will be tough. But like with the spikes, Leech Seed, Sceptile, like Sceptile, there's a little bit going there offensively to like beat the water. So I think there's enough going on here that like Mence will be fine and like he'll make up for it. But like this is definitely not like an optimal usage of our resources here. Dr. Geo, this is a pretty standard Zapdos type of team here. I think Zap Marowak is obviously super fire. So like this is a really good top 6 team. Haunter is decent here. I mean, we've had a lot of people ride for Haunter in this chat today. I mean, I'm still not like the biggest believer in it, especially without spikes. Then we have Golduck here, which like could be interesting. But overall, like this is a team that's like probably going to be consistently top 6. I'm probably content with the value they get out of their top 6 most of the time. Nate Dogg's team here. So we have Lax. I like this Lax team a lot, actually. Lax, Regirock, Gengar is decent. Heracross gets Hypno as its only passer, which is at least good in terms of like finding favorable matchups to get Heracross into, right? Like you're probably going to have Hypno out against Pokemon that's really good. The Heracross is really good into, so like you'll be able to leverage some good situations there, which is nice. Taking Roselia, which is saying a lot. Yeah, Roselia is like you can set hazards with it. It's fine. It was like on my it was on my list to consider as well. Going into this draft, I'm pretty happy to have gotten Quillfish instead. But Roselia was definitely at least on my list to consider for this draft. And then Witch Gender, Raikou, D-Knight, Swampert, Glalie, Ludicolo. We have Scizor here. I don't know about Scizor. Is Scizor fine on this team? Yeah, it's probably okay. I'm just like typically pretty low on Scizor generally. What's the threatened singer? Yeah, Resap and Aroma. Yeah. Also, round 2, Water Spinner sounds cursed because it was always get drafted way later in DPP, but I swear it's a way to go. Yeah, making sure you get the spinner is just like super important in a lot of these formats. I'm not taking any more pool suggestions at this point. I've got a pretty comprehensive list at this point. Maybe if there's enough demand, we do more. Do another stream at another point, but I think like at this point, I'm going to be doing so much streaming the next little bit, so we'll unfortunately we're going to leave it the list that I have here today. What teams am I thinking it out? I think Dr. Geo's team definitely gets out here. This is just like a classic Zapdos, like a little bit of good pass options into Machamp and Marowak. And then good defensive core with Bait Plissey. And then Espeon has a lot of utility as well. And then from there, I think I'd probably pick Witch Gender. And then like Raikou, Dragonite, Swampert, Glalie is like really, really good top 4. I'm a little bit less a fan of like some of the rest of the picks on this team, but I think those top 4 in general should be more powerful than what most of the people are doing. Though I could see Nate Dogg's team finding a lot of good opportunities to really break through with Snorlax and Heracross. So I'm kind of between those two, but I do think Witch Gender's team, I think I like just a little bit more here. In this pool at least. What do we got next? Pool 89. And that is, oh, it's right across. We're almost there. Oh, Cliff B. So we had someone who was in the chat earlier. Suggest this one. Well, at least that I recognize the YouTube name of. All right, so this one, we got 2 round 1 Starmies actually in this pool. People picking up Starmie early. I mean, I think Starmie, especially in the back wheel, definitely makes sense as like a round 1. Thoughts on Umbreon? Umbreon's unfortunately not good, L5. Not a fan for me. I know you were trying to speak some agenda to me about Umbreon earlier today. I won't reveal all the technology right now, but look, for my money's worth, I'm still not the biggest Umbreon fan of all time here. Unfortunately. Hold on, I'm not locked in. Okay. It's a bit. Umbet 8 is better. Way better, not gonna lie. Yeah, the price point kind of helps too. I love Kanga. Kangaskhan is fire too. Yeah, another Kangaskhan draft here. It's a slow pivot. I mean, it does its job, but it's nothing special. It's nothing crazy. All right, Kung Fu Panda's team here. We got Porygon 2. So Porygon 2, one of the common use cases of this is like to trap trappers, right? Like it's a good way if your team is like particularly weak to Dugtrio, they can at least guarantee a kill. After a Dugtrio kill here. Dugtrio's okay here. It's a good way to pick off like the Metachamp Entei. Actually, Dugtrio might be pretty good here actually. Like if T-Tar is not boosted up to speed and it traps it, then you can revenge it. It's gonna trap Entei after a kill Metachamp. Yeah, I think Porygon 2 actually makes sense as a pickup for Kung Fu Panda's team. It's just a way to like insulate yourself a little bit against Dugtrio. Otherwise, it's like a pretty decent T-Tar Gengar team. Because Mixed Match just kills everything otherwise. Yes, that's also true. Really, really good. Really good thing to pick up here as well. And then Blossom here, which people think is as good as Meganium, though I don't think that one is necessarily true, but one to look at here. So I do like this team. I do think there's a lot going for it here. I feel like Entei is good, and it should be better than it's being good. Trace being bugged to not take Intimidate is unfortunate. P2 destroying Mixed Mence is pretty funny. Yeah, that not working is a little sad, but I mean, close enough. But yeah, otherwise, I've used Entei before. I feel like it should be really broken in this. I haven't really found a good situation to make it really work, but definitely a Pokemon that I want to see do really well in one of these tours at some point. Next team, we have Starmie, Arrow, Gengar. Another Gengar in this pool. We have Breloom here. Breloom's one of my least favorite fighters. I mean, it's 10 points for a reason why, right? It's definitely like worse than some of the other ones. But you do have access to Spore, which is kind of nice. No way. Kaz pinged me. Kaz was supposed to join. Said he was going to join in here and fell asleep the whole time, which is super epic. Shout out to Kaz here. Maybe he'll wake up and maybe now he's awake, he'll come join us. Oh, we got another Entei here, too. And then got Marowak here. There's no pass in Marowak here, which is a little unfortunate. But Marowak was still obviously pretty good, just like generally as like a ground-type guy. Cliff B's team. Ooh, I like Cliff... Oh, hold on. We scrolled away. Cliff B. I like Cliff B's team here. Another round 1 Starmie with Dragonite and Regice. Fortress, just a really good spinner in general. And with the Dragonite, you're going to like move some pressure here off of your hidden powers, right? Which is important because like you're definitely going to want to prioritize the hidden power for the Dragonite because that's the most threatening Pokemon offensively here generally. So that'll make Fortress just a little bit more effective defensively, which is nice. And then Tauros and Melodic are just good ways. Another round 6 Melodic. We've seen a few of those today already. And then Machoke, which like as like a fighter is not like that relevant. And then Golem, I guess, is just a normal resist that you can kind of use. So it's got Boom as well, which can be leveraged to decent effect. And then we have Divine. This feels like a point left on the board team. What is this? 31, 43, 55. No, this is using the points. Goal is probably a flying resist. Yeah, it closes up. It helps a few resists here. Don't divide as much because fire is run HP ice and nice run HP fire. Yeah, but I'm thinking like a lot like there are like random like typings that are gonna matter, right? Like it doesn't split it up like depending on like it depends on the specific threats that you're looking at. I think it's just like it's not something that I'm looking for here, but it's something that I'm noting in that like if I'm going into matchups, I'm expecting to be slightly a bit of a downtick in HP fire in this matchup. But like you are right, there's a little bit of that give and take here in that situation. But yeah, Divine's team, I know it's probably spent enough points, but can't run mono T-Bolt. There's also that. Yeah, you don't have a ground type here, so that's going to be important to have that coverage as well. I don't know if I like Divine's team. There's a few things that I like Celebi pass into Heracross is nice. Kangaskhan is nice. Like, you got good hazard removal and Blastoise, but like, we spent a lot of points on some middling stuff. Like, Houndoom is probably... I would have prioritized a Spiker here instead of a Houndoom. And Jolteon, yeah, Jolteon's pretty good as well. And then Articuno, people like Articuno, but like, it's not like something I'm like particularly looking at. Like this team, like I feel like if you need a Spike and a Ghost to like be able to like really take advantage of like some of the past options with Heracross and Celebi here. And it feels like we just don't have. We have like a Houndoom and an Articuno, which I don't think are doing particularly much to further a lot of the goals that this team probably should have. Overall, yeah, like if it was Typhlosion like as a fire type, this would be much better. That's for sure. Definitely would prefer that to Houndoom here. So if I had to pick what teams I think are going to make it through, I definitely think Cliff B's team is going to make it through. And then probably I think Kung Fu Panda's slightly edges out Eternum's team, but not by much. That one's going to be pretty close here. I feel like people focus way too hard on stat passing aspects of draft. The top tier are way threatening with just sub pass and dry pass. But I think the prep force is important, right? Like I think one of the things that like really helps play, that's like really gonna help you out in play, right? Is like forcing prep and like really narrowing down what your opponent can bring, because it limits what they're able to do. Like the threat of things is like often just better than the mon itself, oftentimes. So hey, what's up? I will say we did review your pool at some point earlier in the stream. So if you want to go back to the VOD, then definitely do that for sure. All right, pool 21. Airbeat, for example, makes Skarmory really want to be bold. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like I mean, forcing prep I think is still like a really like important part of Draft League for sure, and like actually being able to. I don't know. It's for me. It's a really important thing to help like with predictability for the sets that you want to run specifically. If you can narrow down like the range of things that your opponents want to do, it makes your ability to actually leverage your game plans much better. All right, pool 21 here. Boas, Roly for Zio Trip, who's actually knocked me out of EO prior. Wow, that's a good team. And then Junkyard Bronze, who I know who's been in the chat supporting us. Appreciate all the love for the stream today. Yeah, as I said, Zio Trip, we'll start with that team. I think this team, like, on the face, immediately sticks out as the best team here. This is a really, really good Raikou team. Raikou Dragonite, as we said, this is, like, one of the classic cores that we see pretty consistently on these teams. Regirock is a really good spin-off wall to have access to. We've seen that go round 3 pretty consistently to a lot of these teams. I don't know if there's a world where we start seeing them it's sneaking around too with Registeel, but Regirock has been really high up on a lot of people's radar here in these tournaments the last little bit. Cloyster, a good spiker and remover here, and then a good boom option. Misdreavus is a good way, as I said, Misdreavus to pick up special walls for your Raikou is super, super nice and super important. Hypno is just a good option to have as well in a team like this. And then Thanos Miltank in round 7, like you got to be happy with this team, right? This team is super, super awesome. Thanks to friend. Building a draft is super fun. Yeah, that's one of like, as someone who played a lot of OU, I think like the most OU I realistically played was X and Y. And like I moved like in as like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out, moved pretty quickly into draft after that. God, that's a terrible voice crack. The building part of Draft League is just so much fun. And it's just such a breath of fresh air to play all the time. Like I look at OU now and I feel anxious looking at it. I don't know how I would engage with that format almost at all at this point. All right, Boas. Let's take a look at Boas's team on how to prep for Air OB. Do you think a phaser is necessary? I mean, you'll definitely want the phaser just to like make sure that you like have a counterplay to the baton pass stuff that's likely to come out of those teams. So like that's definitely I would say a necessity on your teams as you're building for sure. Boas's team, I like this one a lot. We got a pretty solid defensive core. This is definitely a Celebi that's going to operate more defensively than offensively here. And then Charizard. Charizard feels like it has a little bit of primary threat. It's like trying to be a primary threat here, which I'm not super a big fan of, but still definitely pretty good. But yeah, if you and for sure, and feel free to DM me as well on Discord. I don't have as much time to help with prep as I try to do. I'm helping a lot of people already, but if you have questions, especially about if you're new to draft and stuff, feel free to DM me and I can help out with messages the best that I can. Unfortunately, my life is super busy right now, but I'll try to help the best I can. What I really like here, I was saying I kind of honed in on Zio's team here immediately here. I really like Rolly's team too. Tyranitar, Dragonite, Regice, Machamp, super awesome. Yeah, SD Pass and Abandoned Miltank, that'd be pretty funny to see one. Espeon and Blastoise. And Metang is like a 4-point guy as a steal. I've done it before. It's not too bad. I like that. It can be useful in certain situations. I really like this team. I feel like this is just like a classic good top 6 team here. Junkyard Bronze, Salamence, Starmie. I like the Starmie here a lot with the Mence. Swampert is pretty good, so we got double water. For sure, Miltank. Is this 4 Miltank? No, this is a 3 Miltank pool. Thanos, Miltank. Venusaur, decent Pokemon here as well. We got Houndoom, Zangoose. Zangoose has pulled up some crazy situations, for sure. We've seen it have some pretty like crazy scenarios go up in ADV Draft League for sure. So Sorok here has got some opportunity to pass a little bit. There's not a lot that wants to accept passes for that, but yeah, Tango is really solid. It's obviously gets a lot better in the newer gens when you get EVLA access. Is pretty powerful. But if I had to think, I'm pretty confident that this is a Zio and Rolly realistically to advance here. I think their teams are like pretty clearly the teams with the most quality here in this pool. I've only ever really done Rambats. The one thing that's also nice about Rambats coming into Draft League is there's a little bit of that like prediction angle that you have to do. I don't know how much of like Rambats is like set in stone in terms of like what like sets are like common enough that show up enough that like you can predict what they are when you see them. But yeah, like it definitely a format that I think a little bit of the skills kind of translate over in terms of like the intuition you try to build in battling. All right, pool 73. All right, password is here in the chat. So good to get someone in the chat, their team back up here as well. We have 7 more pools left to do. We're going to power through these as quickly as we can. Hopefully try to keep this under half an hour here. Because I did put a lot of pools in here, and I did I am unfortunately kind of running a little bit out of steam. And as I said, I need to keep my energy. I need to keep some streaming energy before we get into the 2 8-hour long days coming up pretty soon. GSC NU. What's the GSC NU gimmick here? Is it the Pinecos? I'll be honest with you. I don't know next to nothing about GSC NU. I actually know nothing about GSC NU. All right, let's take a look at your team to start off with. Raikou, Gyarados, Registeel, Claydol, Heracross, Kangaskhan. That's the top 6 I can get behind. Flareon also like randomly sometimes just like pops up as like one of the top win rate Pokemon in these Emerald Open tours. So like that's just like a nice little 5-pointer to have access to. And then Pineco is a good hazard. It's like just a spiker you can have, right? Like spikes are gonna be pretty nice on this team in situations where like you don't want one of the top 6. My team is 2 shiny Magikarps, by the way. I don't know if we're getting to your pool or not. I don't think we have pool 8. I don't have pool 8 on my list. As I said, I don't know how many more of these I realistically will want to do. But as I said, feel free to reach out through DMs. I'll try my best to respond as frequently as I can if you have any questions while you're prepping or doing anything like that. So yeah, I like the top 6 here for this team a lot, and then Flare Out is pretty cool here. Oh yeah, and then Cheetah's in the chat as well. Yeah, double Pineco here. Pineco, I mean, for 2 points, right? Like setting hazards, you can never really go wrong with it, right? Like it's a pretty demon mon. So I really like your team. I like the top 6, and you have 2 other. For 7 points, you got 2 mons that have decent utility here. Metagross, Blissey, Gyarados. So we got another Gyarados team here. Donphan, oh, man, I feel like I'm gonna love all the teams in this pool already. As I said, I love Alakazam here. It's just like Alakazam is such a fun Pokemon. I mean, this team is very physically offensive, and like Sam is your only special attacker, which could that's going to have a little bit of matchup dependencies, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think like this is a team that like you're really going to overwhelm a lot of the physical defensive stuff going on that a lot of people have going on, and a lot of like this pool is very weak in terms of physical defensive threats. It's like Claydolls basically is all you really have to worry about in terms of long-term defensive checks, and Claydol's definitely one that you can wear down pretty effectively over time. London's team, we spent 8 points on a Ninjask, which like is not my favorite way. We got Ninjask and the Smeargle, which like I feel like is a little bit of an overkill. Like obviously Smeargle's got a little bit more going on with the Spore and stuff, but I feel like they operate in kind of similar spaces, so I'm not super big on that. Raikou, Vaporeon, and Charizard Machamp is like obviously like a pretty decent top 4 though. It's pretty cool for yeah, I like it as a top 6 squad with just a Pineco that can set up hazards. I don't know. I think people are waffling also that Plusle like was maybe good. I don't know. I'll see that one when I believe it, but definitely, yeah, double cheese. Like we're going for some cheese here, which like I guess with the Machamp is like kind of nice. Like if you get like a speed boost and like a sub somehow, why draft Plusle without Minun? Yeah, I guess that was a nice voice crack. I guess true L5. You're really making me consider things. It's gonna be lonely. Yeah, that is that what it is. That's what we gotta look for. we gotta make sure Plusle has the friend. Yeah, that's a I'll consider that one for next time. That's done. Has he done all the pools? I think I'm gonna get through a third of them by the end of this. I can promise you, or not even a third. I definitely promise you we're not getting to all the pools today. So yeah, I think there's a good top 4, but like double cheese, Meganium is a nice defensive piece, and then Armaldo is pretty good too. Caitlyn VGC here makes a team with Plusle minus the only electric counters. I don't think that'll be today. Zapdos, Claydol, Regirock, Vaporeon, Glalie. I like this team. That's a good top 5 here. I think this is a really cool top 5. Sableye is a decent-ish spin blocker. And then Vileplume for 9 points. Vileplume's pretty fire, and then Metang's a decent steel type. I think this team wanted like another like super, maybe like an offensive threat here. But I think like the defensive core of like Zapdos, Claydol, Regirock, Vaporeon with the spikes of Glalie and the fact that you have Sableye to spin block, I do think this is a really good defensive core type of team. If I had to pick who's coming out of this pool, I kind of like Cheetah and Password's team the most. Yeah, I think Caitlyn C. Yeah, a Heracross, like an offensive mon. Like if we used a Metang and the Vileplume points to maybe get like a really like powerful offensive threat, I think I'd like this team maybe a little bit more. But I think right now, I think like Password and Cheetah, I think those are the 2 teams that I like the most coming out of this pool. All right, we got 6 more pools left to go here, chat. As we get through, if you guys are enjoying this stream and enjoying the review of all these drafts, make sure to like the stream and subscribe if you have not already. Really helps out the channel to do well. And we got a lot of ADV Draft League content coming over the next couple of weeks. As I said, we got Big Emerald Open. We got 4 Battle Pool streams coming that we do every year, 2 8-hour streams every day on the weekend. We're starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this time out. A little bit more friendly to the Europeans, and gives me an opportunity to relax a little bit more in the evenings after the fact. We'll have a lot of guests coming on for those. I know LRXC will at least be a guest on the not this weekend, but the weekend after. He should be around for the Saturday and Sunday stream, and then we should have a bunch of other guests from the Draft League community come in and commentate. I'll put L5 to task here and say that he's going to be commentating at some point during this, because he comes out a few times as well. All right, so we got Roro's team here. That's going to be one of the as a minor spoiler, LRXC is a fan of Raticate too, so maybe he's a big fan of Roro's team here. So let's go through this team. Pelaz's team, we got Raikou here, so this is another Raikou team. We see our first Dugtrio. I feel like we haven't seen Dugtrio almost at all in this stream reviewing drafts. What's Dugtrio trapping here in this? Oh, we got two Dugtrios here. Okay. Dugtrio into double Metagross team is actually pretty nice here. That's going to be pretty useful. Good situation to find yourself in. Obviously, like, there's some stuff that I can play around here. Is a fan of every draft. Yeah, LRXC is Gen Chat's only positive user. Everyone else is too much of a negative Nancy half the time. I can't tell what pick number Roro was. I forget. I think it was like, it was it 6 or 7 guys? I don't know. You tell me in the chat. So Dugtrio is nice. It's going to have some decent stuff going on in this matchup that he can pick off. Smeargle, there's like the Spore stuff is nice. There's like a little bit of utility there. There's not a lot of awesome targets that you can receive. I mean, Raikou's obviously always decent to receive a baton pass, but like it can set up for itself and force itself a lot of the times. How broken is Melodic? Very broken, fortunately, for our goats on the right here. So this team, I think, is pretty good, though I think that, like, I don't like the Smeargle necessarily. Nidoking is kind of good here. I feel like if we want Smeargle, maybe we could have gone something else. Melodic is still Vaporeon. True. Aurora's team here. Starmie. We got round 2 Glalie and round 3 Tauros. This is what I was thinking. It was Aurora who picked the early Tauros. I was referencing that earlier in the stream. Tauros sucks pretty high here. Regirock in round 4 is a really good spot. Obviously, to pick up Regirock, that's a really, really good Pokemon here. Adds a nice little spit-off wall to this team. Moltres and then Ampharos is really, really good. And then Medicham is nice here, actually, on this team as well. As like a round 7 pickup. This is a really good team. Roro is who again? McMegan. Yeah. So this is a really cool team. Raticate, I think, obviously is not going to matter too much here, but like this is a really good top 7 mod team. So yeah, I really like Ampharos, and with the Raikou team in this pool as well, it's going to be useful to have access to that Pokemon as well. Watch my replay. I'm not going to be watching any of the replays today, mainly because we're focused on the pools, and we're trying to focus on getting through the rest of the pools. Oh, not you? Okay. Sorry. I'm reading the chat. I'm trying to read between the chat and do this. That said, Metawall Milo. True. Okay. We got another Dugtrio team here. Metagross, Blissey, Melodic, Weezing. Dugtrio is kind of nice here. Trapping stuff to open up your Metagross is kind of relevant here. You unfortunately are one of the Metagross drafters, so you lose a little bit of that value. And the Dugtrio kind of traps Dugtrio a little bit in the other matchup. And against Aurora, like, are you really getting... I guess you can trap the Ampharos, but what does trapping Ampharos give you in this matchup? Not a lot, right? I guess you could trap the Regirock. Can be okay, but then you just... I don't think even that's good. You'll probably just get countered and just lose it, so... I think this team is, like, probably pretty, like, decent and okay, though I think this one is going to run into some awkward matchups here. Pinky Oats, I think this team... Metagross, another Metagross Melodic Regice team, which is a really nice core. Sceptile is a nice addition to help break some of the waters. Breaking waters is going to be pretty important for this team, especially with Typhlosion, right? Going to be important to see that. Quagsire here, not like super big fan of that Pokemon, especially with Melodic. I don't necessarily think that's a Pokemon we needed to pick up here. You trap Starmie and Medicham. Yeah, Medicham runs into some weird things though, that like if it's bulk up, like you can like randomly live that stuff. So like there are stuff to pick up here. But like, and I think yeah. So like, and then looking at Pinky Oats team, I think Sceptile's a nice addition to have here. I just maybe we would have picked something with Quagsire here. Boone Smeargle with a trap looking good. That's true as well. Yeah. Is there no ghost type in this pool? Yeah, you're not running it to any ghost type. Okay, there's a Shedinja. We're not gonna act like Shedinja's real, right? Do I get to ignore Shedinja chat and be happy with that? I think I get to, right? Gengar Erasure? The Gengar's on the... yeah, okay. I guess I should clarify. There's no Gengar... There's no ghost type that we have to worry about from the boomer perspective on our Smeargle. I guess I should clarify is a better way to say what I was saying. Yeah. I guess there's Shedinja, but I don't count that. So who do I expect to get out of this pool? Probably Roro, obviously. I think that's a kind of I wouldn't say foregone conclusion, but I think we would reasonably expect that to happen in most scenarios. And then I think from there, it's kind of take your pick between Plazaz and Blues Energy, I think. No, maybe Pinky Oats team is maybe the second best team in this. I don't like the Quagsire, but I do think that the Metagross, Melodic, Regice, Sceptile combination is like pretty good. And I think we'll probably win a lot of matchups. We'll probably be pretty good here. All right, pool 78. We got 5 more pools here, chat. I appreciate everyone for sticking throughout this entire thing. As I said, these can be tough streams to do. Take a lot to do. At least with battle pools, you get a little bit more relaxed and downtime, but the constant kind of uptime with this one definitely makes this stream one of the more difficult ones. So I appreciate everyone for coming out, liking the stream, subscribing, doing all that fun stuff. As I said, we hit 1,000 subscribers today, which is super awesome. And for the channel, what that means going forward into Pokemon Champions and some of the rest of the streams that we have going on. So appreciate all the love going on. We got BaitWiz's team here. I think BaitWiz is in chat right now here. So we get to see what your team's up to. Oh no. Can I rate Umbreon on a scale out of 1 to 6? It's a 0. Unfortunately. What is this Umbreon? Is this the new L5 gimmick? We're just gonna like glaze Umbreon because we came up with this one set that pushes an agenda we have. Dude, this is gonna be Umbreon. L5, you need help. Dude, Owen's gonna be so happy if this Umbreon glaze comes to be successful. Alright, let's take a look at this pool. L5 is stun locking me into staying on stream longer than I want to be. Chungler's draft. What do we got here? Snorlax, Claydol, Jolteon, Ludicolo is fun. This is an interesting team. Cloyster is interesting. I don't like the Houndoom here. I don't know. I was kind of big on Houndoom, kind of interested in that Pokemon in the last CL. I'm kind of like a little bit lower on that. Elian is winning this pool. His Umbreon. Is that what's going to come down to? Yeah, maybe Umbreon's good in this pool. I don't know. We had the Dusclops was nice. Curse Pass, White Herb Arrow. I feel like we're giving up too many. We're giving up too many crazy sets here, Alpha. You got to leave some tech for the battle stream, surely. Umbreon and Chungler, yeah, it does actually look pretty good, I will say. As much as L5 is like griefing the stream and trolling me into responding to him, Umbreon is actually pretty good there. But yeah, I think this team's fine. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I know you're not trolling, but you're stun locking me, which is not helping. I think Chungler's team is like fine. It's definitely not one of my favorite Snorlax teams that I've seen so far, but BaitWiz, we got Kingdra here. Curse Pass is a very cool mon. There is also that. There's Truth as well. We got Kingdra here. I really like the Metagross, Blissey, Gengar, Glalie, Donphan, like top 5. The problem is like Scyther. I mean, I know that Baton Pass is legal in ADV draft. Doesn't mean I don't know if I like Scyther as one of my choices for that. Manectric is an okay electric type. Actually, I'm kind of like that. The main thing I don't like here is the Kingdra. I think like as a water type, I don't think that like either like between Rain Dance or Dragon Dance, I don't like either of those sets particularly. And I feel like we probably could have... I don't know what like water types are available at this pick, obviously. That's the one context we don't have as a draft position. But I feel like that might have been a better water. Would have been more helpful. And then we go and see, why is Pikachu picked round 6 on our Raikou team? What possible use could we have for Pikachu on this team? I'm confused. But we got Raikou Arrow, which is super nice. Blastoise, One-of-Five, Spikes, it does some cool stuff, right? I think for 5 points it's fine. I think the main thing for here is I think I would have liked a better water than Kingdra, realistically. But this team is fine. Like, if you swap like Blaziken and Pikachu around and just like pretend you picked like pay my Nintendo to pick like if you just pretend like you picked round 6 Blaziken and like round 8 Pikachu, I think this team's actually fine. I think like the double fighting stack between Breloom and Blaziken maybe is a little bit excessive. The Phaser having you to +2 hit, yeah, that helps as well, which is nice. I think maybe that's a little bit kind of conflicting. I picked Pikachu for 5. Are people really picking things for $5? Are we that easy to be bought now that we'll just do $5 to pick what people will tell us to do? Surely not, right? maybe we are just that down bad for $5. And then Smoke Cigar, we got Blissey, Gengar, Fortress, Dugtrio. This feels like a little bit of an underpower. That's probably more than I'm making from this store. Otherwise, I guess so, yeah. I don't know. If you feel like that, hey, you know what? More power to you, I guess. I feel like this team's a little underpowered. I guess like the problem is like these defensive Dugtrio teams. I've tried them before. L5 will know when we did the TDT team. Obviously, this is not to that extent, but like we did a little bit in TDT, and I would say it didn't work. Was like a stream friendly way to say it. Now this got a little bit more offensive going on it because Gengar can put a little bit more pressure offensively, and Tauros can break a little bit. But man, these Dugtrio defensive teams can really struggle to really make a lot of progress. And like really relies on Dugtrio getting like good doubles in, which can be really tough to play effectively, especially without Spikes. Oh no, you have Spikes Fortress. I didn't say that. Don't worry about me. So I guess at least you have Spikes to do that. But yeah, like these teams can struggle to play a decent amount. Gonna need a lot of modest silver to do anything. That's true as well. This is a tough pool to call. Realistically, in terms of like the quality of the teams, I think Alien probably has one of the better teams, and then I would have to guess. I think Baitwiz. I think your team is probably then going to be second best here. I think the Chungler has a fine team, but I think your team just like the top 5 in and of itself are like a classic, really good combination. And while I'm not a big fan of Kingdra and Scyther and Manectric are very niche, I think realistically the top 5 should be able to kind of get you through most of the battles that you have. All right, let's get into pool number 5. For what would have been a Blastoise against Snipe. Yeah, that would have been nice to have here. Oh, Cinnarath. Where is Cinnarath? I know he suggested his own pool. What a surprise. He's got to at least be in chat if he's going to suggest his pool, right? Where's our goat Cinnarath at? Let's just say Terra Keldeo is a fraud. I'm sure he'll come screaming or run into the chat here immediately after that, right? Surely that'll get him in here. All right, let's take a look at this. Jabba the Griffin also in this pool as well. I think Jabba made top cut of Emerald Open last time. Obviously, very, very well established Smogon player here in this pool. We got a Celebi Arrow team here. Obviously, one of the classic combinations in ADV Draft League. Charizard, a nice addition here. Melodic around 4 is pretty good here. So like that's a really solid top 4. And we got a lot of interesting things in addition to this team. Umbreon, I know L5 has been super big on Umbreon here. Basically this entire stream, just telling us how much he loves Umbreon in Pokemon Draft League. Umbreon obviously looks really, really solid here. You got back just in time. You heard the Keldeo hate and had to show up. So yeah, Umbreon is nice. There's a lot of interesting pass options that you can kind of do with this. Maybe with Umbreon, worth considering. Curse Pass is interesting, though a lot of the targets don't like their speed to be dropped. Porygon is another like interesting addition to this team. And then we got another Manectric here, which is always nice to see. The Penguin of Doom, Metagross, Jolteon, Charizard, Flygon. Why do we got Flygon? Cinnarath is winning. I like Cinnarath's team. Starmie, Dragonite, Registeel, Arcanine, Melodic, and Medicham is a solid 4. Roselia, we do have a Spiker here, which is nice. So why do we get Shedinja? Are people really gonna like Are people really prepping for Shedinja? Evolutions are always great intermediary draft. Yeah, they're just fine guys to put on teams. Sin, how much do you think people are prepping for your Shedinja? Be honest. To be honest, like the last time I think I had to prep for Shedinja, I had a T-Tar. So I just like obviously ignored it because I have a T-Tar and it's gonna die to sand, right? So Shedinja Force is a little more toxic. It's fine for one. With Starmie, yeah, you got the Starmie spin. Is losing to Curse Pass a White Herb Arrow. Yeah, I mean, if you get the Curse Pass White Herb Arrow, it's going to be kind of shice. Yeah, I mean, Sin's kind of cooked. I mean, we do have Melodic, right? Like, that at least holds that back a little bit. Right? And, like, we have priority on Metacham, right? And, like, Starmie can maybe do it, right? No, I mean, he should be fine. Sin's not going to get Mickey by that. But yeah, the Penguin of Doom, I think team is like okay, but I think like the two teams that are like the highest quality here. I think Sin's team, I like that one, and then Jabba's team is really good with Tyrant, Gyarados, Gengar. Thanos, Miltank. Miltank, obviously one of the more Thanos Pokemon in Draft League, and then Hypno's a really good CM passer. There's not a good target, but like if you get a CM pass in Gengar, you can kind of start cooking here a little bit. And then Scizor has some pass shenanigans that can be interesting here as well. Though I think likely like Hypno's role here is going to be very much defensively oriented here for the most part here. Not really too much of a Calm Mind threat because a lot of the targets would be physical here. So I think for this pool, realistically, this is Cinnarath and Jabba in terms of team quality, likely to get out of this one. All right, we got 3 more pools left here, chat. Thank you to everyone who's stayed here for basically the entire stream. This has been a really, really awesome stream reviewing all of these teams. As I said, we have 4 battle pool streams, and then we'll be doing live streams every single week. Oh, do we got to rate TJ's team? Who suggested TJ's pool? Come on, man. That's crazy. We can't. Who suggested the boats pool? But yeah, as I said, I appreciate all the love from the stream. The stream has been awesome. As I said, we got battle pool streams starting this week. We got 4 8-hour-long streams covering as many battle pool games as possible, and then we'll be live at least once a week from there on out, covering some of the best games from brackets. A lot to look forward to. Even Hoenn Draft Invitational. Probably just don't bother with this pool. No Umbreon. Yeah, right. Like, there's just nothing to talk about here. We'll give TJ his credit, right? TJ was showing up in Smogon Gen chat today for the Regia for the real ones here. I know certain users weren't able to say too much in that chat. Did you cover draft 80 pool 89? I don't know if I did or not. I can quickly look at like what's in 89. I did cover pool 89. Yes, I did cover that earlier. So that'll be somewhere in the VOD going back. At this point, I have no idea when I covered it, but we did cover that one at some point earlier on. Let's take a look at this. So yeah, Sir Kill also in this pool. Air, let's take a look. What do we got? It was recent-ish. Yeah, I think it wasn't too far ago. I don't have the list of pools that I covered on the side here. I deleted them as I went, but we got Raikou, Skarmory, so good spike stacking for Skarmory, which is nice. Donphan is nice, good remover here. Heracross, really powerful offensive threat. Chansey is nice to include. I like this team, actually. I think this team's got a lot of good quality Pokemon on it. Hypnopass is it's kind of cool in the Sceptile, actually. Are you getting a lot of value out of that in this matchup? Curse Pass, Vaporeon into White Herb Arrow. Too tough. Are you really? Do you have like White Herb? Like, are you really on this White Herb Arrow Curse Pass gimmick? Is that your new thing, L5? Is that your new like everything just auto loses to like a Curse White Herb Pass now in ADV Draft League? The new L5 gimmick. I like Air's team though. This team's got a lot of interesting stuff going on it. Heracross is our only real way to break special wall. Some of the key special walls you want to break for Raikou, which will make this a little bit more tough. Though, like between Leech Seed and Spikes, like you'll have good opportunities to break those down to enable Raikou anyway. And like the only ones that are here, I guess, you ran to Raikou and Registeel. What is the cone fear supposed to do about +6 arrow? It fire, yeah, Subsea Sceptile will be fine into that. Running curse on the arrow itself, yeah, we're gonna just do full gimmick on that. I guess that's not a gimmick, but you know what I'm getting at. Umbreon Thanos, yeah. Snorlax, Gyarados, Regirock, Tauros. So we got a little bit of normal spam here from Cone's team. The Tauros obviously loosening up some of the Snorlax answers, which is really nice. And then Gyarados, like this is the team that Skarmory will hold back a lot of these threats, but there's only so much Skarmory can do, right? And there is a Houndoom on this team, which can pressure it a little bit offensively as well. So a little bit of normal spam here. Hitmontop is our spinner, which I don't like, and we do have a lack of spikes here. I feel like spikes would have been something really nice to have on this team. I have 3 layers up by a 4A. You have every Pokemon on your team, it turns out, L5, which is interesting. Yeah, I like this team a little bit of a normal spam angle, but I feel like this is a team that would have benefited from having spikes to really kind of push the agenda that just a little bit more here. Circle's team, I mean, as L5 said, we gotta keep talking about Curse Pass in this, right? Like Curse Pass is the biggest thing to talk about. This is a pretty good Snorlax team. Right, like Snorlax, Vaporeon, Aerodactyl, Flygon, Fortress. Like, you got a lot of good ways to get up hazards. You got a few good baton pass options, which can be kind of nice here. But like Arrow and Snorlax just put so much pressure offensively in tandem, especially with spikes. The only thing you really have to worry about, like from a defensive check perspective, obviously Claydol's like pretty decent at that here, but it's like mainly Skarmory. But like you do have a Skarmory in this pool that I guess you do have to be mindful of breaking that one down a little bit. Then TJ Boat's team, Zapdos, Registeel, Hariyama, Blastoise, Hypno. I mean, this is a classic defensive core. TJ loses to Curse Pass into Snorlax. He has Shedinja, right? So like Shedinja walls into mono normal coverage. Which like you would expect, like you would bring not mono normal coverage here, right? Just not expecting Shedinja to come, and then the problem's solved that way. I like TJ's top 5 here, and then Dugtrio here. Zap Dugtrio obviously is like one of the common ways to use Dugtrio here. And you have quite a few things that you would probably want to trap here. Regirock would be a nice thing to trap here for this team. You can trap like Chip Chanseys and stuff like that. Haze Blastoise is an option. Is a Pete that may never be reached again. I'm here to act like I know what I'm talking about, LRXC. Don't worry, you only have to act like you know what you're talking about for 2 more battle pools. Because I think in this pool, I think my money is going to be on TJ and Circle probably to make it out of this pool on like team and player quality, I think, most likely. So we got 2 more pools here, chat. 36 and 53. Those are our final 2 pools of the day. I thought my beat up Houndoom Destroyer, but apparently Spit Up Hypno can wall Houndoom Emo with Crunch. Yeah, Hypno's kind of Thanos. That mod super fire. Dude, Agile Pass, Zapdos, and Hariyama is broken. L5 is, I think L5, dude, L5 is like there is also congrats. Thank you, RXC, by the way. Yeah, today we got I think over I think almost 40 subs sitting on the stream today. So yeah, did super well. That's super fire. Thank you to everyone for supporting throughout this stream and for all the future streams to come. It's going to be awesome. Huge amount of subs. Yeah, hey, we're making moves now, right? Now we just got to get the watch hours back up. I had the Joey League, which helped with the watch hours, at least for Ubers. People were super into that, but unfortunately, my LC run was not as enticing to watch. All right, we got Shadow Gallade here, who's someone in. Yeah, I don't know why we want Eevee here, but maybe a Cope Ghastly here for a little spin blocker here action. We got early Dugtrio here. We haven't seen a lot of Dugtrios. We picked up Dugtrio early. We don't have a way to get Dugtrio in here necessarily here, which I don't like. But in terms of like a Metagross team, I do like Metagross, Heracross, Cloyster, Moltres. Like I do think that this is like in the white herb Dugtrio sleeps. It doesn't sweep. There's a man, honestly, you know what? This is like the shot. This is like, dude, King L5's like Scribble right now. I guess I don't want to say that too loud. Owen might ban me from Simone and Gen chat. But this is like Scribble's like hypnosis, like fear. Everyone is constantly scared and always losing to hypnosis. I mean, we're looking at it. I think Shadow Galate's team is interesting. Eevee is just not a threat, obviously, but like Tauros here late is nice. Dugtrio is kind of early, but if you move everything up one and maybe move closer to round 2, I think this team looks like pretty decent. It's just like a standard team. Dugtrio has a lot of things that it can trap that you kind of do want to trap in this matchup, in these matchups here. Trapping Celebi is kind of nice. Trapping Breloom's kind of nice. Oh, Hidden Power is going to be a little bit of a problem there. I mean, you're trapping the Celebi every time, right? I guess you have Aerial Ace for the Breloom. Trapping the Registeel and the Hariyama. There's a lot of things you can trap here in this matchup, so it'll be kind of nice. Pretty mandatory for fast special attackers, yeah. It opens up Metagross a little bit too, which can be important. Annon's team here: Zapdos, Registeel, Hariyama, Cloyster, Marowak, Hypno. This is a nice. Dugtrio is like theory Thanos. Like I always feel like Dugtrio should be Thanos, and I keep going back to that TDT season that we like. I don't know. We like really thought Dugtrio was super Thanos, and like that just didn't work out for us like at all. It's kind of got Justin Herbert energy. What other Pokemon was it comparing to Justin Herbert? Oh, Salamence. But yeah, there's a few Justin Herbert mons, unfortunately. I like Annon's team though a lot here. It's a good Zapdos team, got good bulky options with Registeel, Hariyama. I like the Cloyster set. Marowak is obviously like super awesome with Zapdos here. And then Hypno, Lunatone, Clefable. There's a lot of interesting things going on here. I feel like there's a lot, like you can build a lot of like really cool concepts with this team. There's a lot of like, they want to focus on Baton Pass. I mean, that is one of the things that you can do with this team. Yeah, this team can't beat CM Celebi, which is a little bit of a problem. I guess like you can have like Drill Peck Zapdos, which puts a little bit of pressure offensively, but like that is going to be a struggle for this team, certainly. Oh, we gotta have a little bit of an HP bug. Registeel, football reference. Don't worry, we got a lot of football. There will be a lot of sports references on this stream. If you like sport references, half these Pokemon are Justin Herbert, if man. Half these Pokemon pick up Dak Prescott kills, right? Like, we got a lot of we'll have a lot of sports references over the days. You might be genius, Elric. Yeah, LRXC, dude. LRXC, he'll find the random low tier mon that you need to save your draft. We got another Raikou, Gyarados, Registeel, Medicham team. We got Dugtrio here. We spent 8 points on Ninjask, which I don't like. I know like Baton Pass is allegedly super scary, but like Ninjask is literally the worst Baton Passer, unfortunately, of all time. So unfortunately, this guy, I don't like Ninjask at all. Articuno, I still don't get the Articuno love, honestly. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. A lot of people seem to like Zapdos as the Cam Ward of draft. Moving on. Cam Ward, we know that's not true, RXC, right? We're not loving. We don't. Cam Ward ain't like that. He's not like that. Don't worry. I like the top 5 though. Dugtrio is a little hard to get in. You have Baton Pass with Medicham. I don't know if that really opens up anything realistic to trap with Dugtrio. Probably not. I just don't like the Ninjask here on this. I just like, yeah, Ninjask Pass is like interesting, kind of, but like Ninja in terms of like the Baton Pass strategies that we like talk about frequently, that L5 memes of like being like super broken all the time. Ninjask Pass is just like one of like the it just doesn't do anything. Yeah, like Medicham just doesn't BP anything interesting here. So big Geno Smith energy a little bit, and then Ma the bot here has it's undervalued because he gets so far with step by Ice Pressure. It's gotten some interesting stuff in that. I think Camerup's a good Raikou answer. Do we need a Raikou answer on this team, honestly? Like, do we need to spend on the Camerupt? I don't know. We have Registeel. We have our own Raikou. We have Dugtrio to trap after. I don't know if that's, like, necessary. It was, like, a necessary pick. We could have maybe, like, angled to add, like, a cheap Spiker here. Maybe, like, get a Pineco and, like, but get, like, a 10-pointer instead of the Ninjask might have been an approach. And then Ma the bot here, Celebi plus the Arrow, another Celebi Arrow team. We got Melodic and Claydol too. Um, Here we got Breloom, which is a fighter. It's not my favorite one here of all time, of course, but and then we got Pineco, a little bit of a spiker here. If we want to put up some pressure with Spike's offense there a little bit, and then a Rapidash. If I had to pick the two teams I like the most, I like Anon's team a lot here, and then probably Shadow Gallade here. Though Pancake's team, like Raikou, Gyarados, Registeel, Medicham, is so powerful. Like I think like that, there's definitely opportunity for that to overpower. Though I do think Shadow Gallade's team, no, maybe Mothbot's team actually. That top 5 is really powerful. I think I like that team second here. They get 2 wins. All right, we got one more pool, guys. We've gone through almost 3 hours of talking about ADV Draft League pools. As I said, as we get into this last pool, we're going to be doing the battle pool stream starting this weekend. So definitely get around for that. Oh, we got Zip Strike Him Down. That's my goat. We all love Zip Strike Him Down. Zinc here as well. Zinc SPL player, one of the hosts of the tours we ran last time out in Hone Draft Invitational. There's only 3 this year. We have 3 more to go. We're not doing 3 more pools. 3 more hours. I promise you that. You know what? You'll get pools here. You'll get 2 8-hour streams on the weekend and a Hone Draft Invitational stream on Friday. I can promise you a lot of stream content. I can't promise you any more tonight. So what do we got from Strike Him Down here? That's my goat. We got Celebi, Melodic, Claydol, Tauros, Blaziken. This is an interesting team. We've seen a lot of these teams obviously have Arrow on them, which is nice. Roselia is like an okay hazard setter. Electrode like helps resolve speed tier issues that you're having. Super Easter, go Ruza. Easy on me. It's my first ADV draft. Well, look, for a first ADV draft, we'll get there. I like it. It's pretty decent. There's one mod I don't like, but to each their own on that one. I think Zip Strike Him Down team is fine. Obviously, these teams obviously look better with Aerodactyl on them realistically for the most part. But like Tauros is really nice, Blaziken is nice, Electrode helps like a speed tier situation here. I was talking to Zip Strike Him Down a little bit about this team. So like this team, I think this team is okay. For sure, like definitely a very playable Celebi team here. All right, Living Spinach, Super Rooster. This is your first ADV draft team. This is a good ADV draft team, especially for your first team. Heracross. Heracross looks frustrating. Luckily, we don't play one, so we don't have to worry about that. I like this team though. Metagross, Jolteon, Gyarados, Galele as a top 4. Awesome. Really, really like a good core for ADV Draft League. Really like that a lot. Arcanine, I'm really good. I like Arcanine a lot. It's not a Pokemon I've used a lot in ADV. I've used it in Gen 9 a little bit, in like more powered down versions of Gen 9 metagames. Obviously not like contemporary Gen 9. It's not that great in that. But it's a Pokemon I think that it should be really good. I don't like Hitmontop personally. It's never for me. They don't have good Curse Passers. You know what? I guess, without good Curse Passers, there's not much we can do with that. Hitmontop, it's not for me as a spinner. I don't really like it. Your team's not, I guess it's kind of weak it's not particularly problematic to deal with spikes. You have Chansey as a Wish Passer, which is nice. And then Goldeck's kind of interesting. With Chansey, with Chansey specifically, you probably do want the spin. Yeah, Hitmontop's just not my favorite way to get it, unfortunately. But I think, like, for the triple Intimidate's kind of nice. You are pressuring the physical attackers nice that way. But, like, for a first ADV draft, like, this is a pretty good team, I will say. Like, Metagross, Jolteon, Gyarados, Galele. Like, as I said, those 4 guys in tandem, very, very good team. Very good core. And then, some of these things I think maybe a little personal preference on my side. But I'd say for your first draft, definitely did very, very well. And made a Moss here fighting monsters. We got T-Tar, Starmie, Machamp, Arrow. Wow, that's a very, very powerful top 4 here. Machamp is just like a demonic Pokemon. And then Steelix as a Steel type and a ground is like pretty good. Covers a lot of rolls there. We got Pineco to get some hazards up, which is nice. Ludicolo and Vileplume. Like this is a good team. I like this team a lot actually. Goldeck is Def a sleeper. Yeah, Goldeck is pretty cool. And then Zing's team, I like Zing's team a decent amount too. T-Tar, Skarmory, Jolteon. Flygon's a little... I'm not as I said, I'm not the biggest Flygon, but Flygon somehow always finds a way to win this tour every year, by the grace of God. I don't know how it does it, but yeah, Golbat being here is pretty cool as well. And then Tentacruel is like a very interesting Pokemon ADV as well. Much more interesting than we see in like some of the modern gens. And then Arcanine as well. I think realistically, who's going to make it out of this pool? This is a tough one. I feel like this is going to come down to like, this definitely comes down to the end. Living Spinach, I don't know. I don't know if I like your team the most. My plan was better than I was given credit for, but I'll take it being underestimated. Yeah, like let me look at your team again, just out of curiosity. Yeah, I think a lot of it with this pool is I think it's good. I think it's just like, yeah, maybe Marowak, maybe you want to pass. I just like Cliff B's team a lot, and there's some other good teams here, but like I think your team definitely has the quality to make it up for sure. Damn, I don't think I did. Yeah, thank you, L5. Good commentary. Very useful information. I don't think we did, Volta, get to your team. But overall, in this pool, I think Living Spinach, I like your shot. I like your chances here. I think this is a good pool for Metagross. I think Metagross will find good opportunities here. And then who else makes it? I like Made of Moss's team pretty well. Zinc, obviously, there's a little bit of a player diff that I like to consider there. And then Substrike and Down's pretty good as well. And has a decent team. Man, this is a tough one to call. This is a tough pool to be in for your first ever ADV pool, I will say. But you definitely giving yourself the tools to make it through here. So definitely excited to see how you pull out that one. That's it for today's stream. Draft pool 32 plumbers. I'm not gonna unhide the draft pool on the stream. I'm sorry. I don't want to deal with the doc and stuff today. That's all I have for today. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. As I said, this is a super successful stream. We had 1,000 subscribers, which is super awesome. Appreciate everyone for all the love on that. We got through a lot of pools here. Thank you for everyone for tuning out. If you didn't like the stream, like it on your way out. We'll have a lot of streams coming here. We have Friday is probably going to be Hoenn Draft Grand Finals Game 2. You'll definitely want to be around for that. That's going to be a huge game. And then we have the 2 8-hour streams this weekend and the 2 8-hour streams next weekend. If you are playing for in those games and you're scheduling, make sure to get your game scheduled to play on pools. I think we have most of the Saturday slots accounted for, but you'll definitely want to make sure you get your game scheduled for that stream, because those streams are so much fun to do. Alrexy knows, he did them before. He's hung out with us before. We have a blast with them every year. So definitely something, even if you're not playing and you just want to watch, unbelievable. They're some of the most fun I have with Draft League throughout the entire year. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you all on Friday at the very earliest, or Saturday. Hope you guys all enjoyed the stream, and have a good evening.